Warrior Lore. Chapter 513. The Third Sky of Sky Realm. Chapter 513. The Third Sky of Sky Realm. Having heard what Long Danqing said, Han Shui changed her face as she was filled with worry. Since Bathe was still affected by the vanished mind smoke and he had recognized something wrong, he returned to the Banner family at his fastest speed, not daring to linger. It would be easier to release the vanished mind smoke at home. Yin was also poisoned, but he was still here. It seemed he was at the important threshold of the new realm. The vanished mind smoke would become stronger with time. At that moment, Yin would hardly press down his desire, and he would do evil things that his mind always prevented him from doing in regular situations. What made the two women frightened was also poison, but not the vanished mind smoke. However, it was also a deadly one when it confined their powers. At this moment, they weren't different from normal people. Even if they ran away, they couldn't run far enough. The ghost hunter, the devouring gold silkworm, and the king of demonic insects, the three intimidating evil creatures were guarding Yin. Even if they wanted to tie him, they had no way. So now, they could only worry about themselves but have no solution. Retribution. The beautiful eyes of Han Shui reflected her mournful mood. She wanted to cry. Stunned and begrudging, she sighed. Long Danqing was the same. She was uneasy, but couldn't find a solution. She could only look at Yin with her stomach in knots. Yin didn't recognize the two flurried, ample-built women as he was still sinking in the death intent domain to comprehend the true meaning of death. After Ning Qishan died, his essence qi had absorbed into Yan's body. While he still perceived the power of death, the mysterious martial spirit in his body had soon been working, magically filtering the negative energies constantly arising from the bottom of his heart, which affected his mind. The vanished mind smoke had stirred up the desire deep down in his heart. This sort of attraction that came from the soul could make anyone crazy. Moreover, when it contacted the negative feelings, it was like thunder meeting the flame of the earth. Once it started, it was hard to stop. Gradually, Yan's pupils became as hot as fire. He started to pant. Han Shui and Long Danqing became more frightened. They instinctively avoided the young man, retreating deeper into the forest to lengthen the distance with Yin. They hoped that at the moment Yin woke up from his realm comprehension, if he didn't see them, he would spare them. Han Shui and Long Danqing all knew that when an ice jade technique practitioner lost her purity, breaking through to the peak of this technique was harder than finding the way to heaven. As they understood the nature of the ice jade technique well, although these two beautiful women weren't young anymore, they still stayed virgin. They had never experienced intimacy before. The provocation they had made was just to show off. When the real thing came, they felt scared. Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu hadn't arrived yet, as they were still chasing after Yuli Ming. They wouldn't come back shortly. This made the two attractive women more flurried. They'd used all the strength left in them to hide in the thick forest. Time flew in this sort of a bizarre atmosphere. Yin was immersed in the center of the death intent domain, and he had spent a long time there. Later on, he seemed to recognize something when his majestic body suddenly shivered, as a radiant divine light bloomed out from his eyes. A warm water current flowed, rippling in his entire body from his sea of consciousness. The profound chi halo in his abdomen was urged to thrive. The ancient profound chi in there had another growth. Third Sky of Sky Realm. Warrior Lord, when the realm was broken through, the most direct marker was the enlargement of the ancient profound chi tree, which helped him store more chi. This pushed his power progression to a larger scale. The ancient profound chi tree changed, which meant he had made another step into the new realm, the Third Sky of Sky Realm, the most strenuous and mysterious of the Sky Realm. At the moment his body was changed, and his sea of consciousness was shaken many times. Flows of soul consciousness were formed one after another. The essence chi of earth and firmament was like it was dragged massively into his body, entering his sea of consciousness to help it refine and condense. His sea of consciousness expanded a little more. Each strand of soul consciousness became pure, as a brilliance sparkled in his sea of consciousness, releasing some kind of divine light, entering people's mind. His host soul in the sea of consciousness was tangled with the strands of pure soul consciousness, receiving the energy from them. The shortcomings of the host soul were healed, while the power of the host soul gradually increased. Overall growth. At the moment when a warrior entered a new realm, his body, sea of consciousness, and host soul would be all enhanced. Even his martial spirit could break through too. A new world came with new chances for new abilities. This was what attracted countless warriors on their cultivating path. Shi Yan's eyes shimmered while sensing the changes of his body. Gradually, the negative desires affected him. From deep down at the bottom of his heart, an urging voice was calling him, asking him to release his desires. The negative desires broke his rationality easily. Vanish mind smoke piled up with the negative feelings created the desires at their frightening acme that he, a man with a firm will, couldn't oppress at all and fell into them. His eyes were like they were sparking fire. His soul consciousness was released strand by strand, and soon, he found Han Shui and Lung Danqing. Without any hesitation, he turned into a bunch of lightning, gliding through the big, ancient trees in the forest. Immediately, he found Han Shui and Lung Danqing. Naked desire twinkled in his eyes, as his gaze made the two women shiver in fear, with their minds trembling. New. Han Shui couldn't hold her scream. She was constantly retreating with distress on her face. The soft, plump body of Lung Danqing was shaking as well. She felt Shi Yan's eyes were piercing through her, as if she was standing there naked in front of him. This feeling made her soul restless. Under Shi Yan's gaze, her heart was overwhelmed with fear. Once she lost her virginity, it would be really tough to break through her ice jade technique again. The hope to enter the true God realm would be out of reach. The dream she had been chasing strenuously for her whole life was related to the purity of her body. If Shi Yan took her this time, she would never have the chance to surpass Bing Qingtong, and she could only be one of the elders of the Ice Emperor. Although she kept the company with Han Shui, she had her own calculation. The city master position, she also wanted it. Roar. Shi Yan roared like a beast, storming forward and snatching Lung Danqing's body. Swash swash. The tearing sound of brocade clothing arose. Shi Yan had ripped Lung Danqing's dress off. She was helpless. After only 5 seconds, she turned into a naked beauty, revealing her jade-white, porcelain-like charming body that could dazzle people. The ample milky bosom, the straight, slender thighs. Her breasts were full and large, that he couldn't hold with one hand. Deadly attraction flickered from these treasures that could drive any man crazy instantly. One hand of her was covering her left breast while the other hand was hiding her fragranced grassland. Her face was depressed, innocent, and lovely at the same time. She backed off constantly. Standing in front of her was Shi Yan, who had lost his mind. What happened next, one didn't need to guess. Shi Yan stormed over like a wild beast, backing her against an ancient tree. He didn't respect her at all, claiming her right breast which was exposed. Shi Yan grabbed the little red dot eagerly, while his other hand caressed her arrogant rear end. Han Shui blushed and screamed ear-splittingly to wake Shi Yan's up. Unfortunately, Shi Yan was no different from a wild beast at this moment. He ignored her frightened scream, continuing his dark deed on Lung Danqing's creamy body. Right in front of Han Shui, Shi Yan's clothes exploded like leaves, scattering around his uniting lofty body and Lung Danqing's porcelain-like body. The carefree, pleasure scream and the mournful cry sounded at the same time in the forest. Bang! An evil power detached from the black iron puppet war devil. Dark light columns as big as an arm were storming like crazy snakes from hell. Yu Li Ming got hit in the air, spurting out blood. A bunch of icicles appeared around Yu Li Ming, stabbing him directly. As Yu Li Ming got hit by the war devil, blood sprayed out from his body like a shower. Then, the icicles stabbed him. Even though his body was wounded severely, Yu Li Ming didn't dare to stop, shouting with a ferocious face, "You two bitches, I will make you wish that you'd rather die than staying alive." Purple and green mist exuded. Some kinds of nemesis energies bustled inside Yu Li Ming's body and then exploded, rippling out in the mist. Blood splashed everywhere, as Yuli Ming disappeared into thin air. Even his aura vanished. The war devil paused for a while, then strode toward Shi Yan's general direction. Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu were worried. They sensed in the direction Yuli Ming disappeared, but they understood well that with their cultivation base, they couldn't find him. As they had no other choice, they could only get back to the forest, flying together with the war devil towards Shi Yan's location. They hadn't even come near them yet when a series of embarrassing, tender sounds reddened them. This kind of sound made them feel itchy and uncomfortable inside. It's... Bing Qingtong was shocked, looking unknowingly at that direction. She frowned, flying towards it. Shuang Yuzhu followed her, flying towards the source of the noise. When they arrived, the two cold, arrogant, beautiful women blushed, standing stunned at their spot. In the forest, a live, vulgar play was showing vehemently with only one audience, who was constantly screaming. Chapter 514. 1 to Resist 3. Chapter 514. 1 to Resist 3. A naked young man was thrusting his member passionately into a snow-white, mature body. Standing near them was another beautiful woman. Her face was filled with fear as it was blushing. The woman was constantly screaming. After Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu arrived, they were stunned at first glance. Second sister, what's going on? Bing Qingtong was terrified. She wanted to separate the couple while her soul numbed and her tender body shivered. Don't! Han Shui shouted. The ghost hunter, the king of demonic insects, the devouring gold silkworm stayed near. The three flows of evil aura concentrated on Bing Qingtong all of a sudden. Even the war devil had exuded his sinister aura as he was guarding his master. Why? Why did it happen like this? Why? Shuang Yuzhu was shocked, shaking her head again and again. Her face blushed. She didn't know what to do. He got affected by the vanished mind smoke. The poison has burst out, Han Shui explained. These demonic beasts don't allow anyone to come near him. Don't act rashly. Wait until he releases himself. He'll wake up. Everything's fine then. No matter what, don't move. Bei Si's and Shuang Yuzhu's bright eyes flickered uncertainly at this moment. Even their necks reddened as they didn't know what to do now. Big sister, second sister, help me. Lung Dan Qing panted while her creamy body glowed beautifully. Sister, we don't have any plan. Han Shui retracted her neck, looking at the king of demonic insects and the ghost hunter with great panic. Her tender body shivered, and her eyes glinted, not daring to look at her younger sister. As Long Dan Qing listened to her, she fell into despair. Her body was trembling harder. Big sister, fourth sister, you too. Seems like you two got the vanished mind smoke too? Han Shui was bewildered. She seemed to recall something as she paled and shouted. Right after that, Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu discolored. Seemed like the woman's words had stirred up something in them. Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu turned differently. Watching the hot scene in front of their eyes, the two women couldn't help but feel hot, as if numerous worms were tickling their bodies, making them feel so strange. Shuang Yuzhu couldn't help but press her thighs together. Her body swayed, quickly turning reddish. Go, go. It seemed a voice was calling her, urging her to walk toward Shi Yan to join that disgusting scene. Shi Yan's lofty body was naked. At this moment, in Bing Qingtong's and Shuang Yuzhu's eyes, he somehow got some sort of divine halo covering him. Each muscle of his was so attractive that could make every woman worship him. Big sister, fourth sister, you guys. Han Shui was surprised. Can you control it? Sister, do you have any solution? Bing Qingtong felt so hot inside that she couldn't press it down. Her breath was warm, but she couldn't restrain the unknown desire in the bottom of her heart. Han Shui was also terrified, shaking her head. I don't know. I really don't know. This poison seems to aim at the feelings inside. Normal antidote won't work. I have no solution. Han Shui couldn't even cry, although she regretted it the most. She had never expected things to accelerate to this point. So hot. Shuang Yuzhu whined like she was dreaming. Her clear, cold pupils gradually dulled. A moment later, sexual passion appeared on her face. She seemed to be urged by an unknown force, walking towards Yin. She started to take off her clothes. A slim body that gave people a sense of perfection slowly revealed in the forest. Fourth sister. Bing Qing Tong screamed. It seemed that Shuang Yuzhu didn't hear her, walking forward step by step, just like she was under a spell. Then, she hugged Yin from behind, using her beautiful bosom to caress his back. She appeared to receive great pleasure from that. Her moaning made people's hearts speed up. As Bing Qing Tong was watching her, she felt so hot inside that she couldn't restrain it. Even her ice jade technique couldn't solve this desire. She felt annoyingly itchy. Big sister, what are you doing? Amidst the ear-splitting scream of Han Shui, Bing Qing Tong acted like she was dreamwalking, slowly strolling forward while taking off each piece of her clothing. Her extremely beautiful body exposed in the forest. Han Shui bewilderedly watched her sister join Shuang Yuzhu like the group of Naganis tangling him. Long after that, Han Shui had her legs softened, sitting on the ground as if she had lost her soul, looking ahead of her. Under a big ancient tree, one naked man and 3 women were entangled, as a strange aroma exuded from them. Well? Yin suddenly sighed. His eyelashes convulsed as he detached himself from the jade-like thighs and snow-white arms, looking around dully then stuttering. "Ah!" he cried out in panic, jumping out of the embrace of the 3 hot bodies that could bleed any man's nose. Yin stammered. What happened?" His body trembled. He looked at Han Shui and asked with a low tone, "What have you done to me?" Han Shui's stupefied eyes lit up as she gradually got herself together. She was shocked for a while before she could speak up again. What did you say?" "Did you seize the chance when I was comprehending the truth of the power to take over my body?" Yan's face darkened. He slightly turned his head to throw a glance at Bing Qing Tong, Long Danqing, and Shuang Yuzhu, who were still together. His eyes lingered on the bodies of the 3 magnificent women, but his voice was so serious like he had never used before. "Even if you had a wild scheme on me, you wouldn't need to do that. 3 at once. Didn't you think it was too much? I had just had a big fight. How could I endure that? So excessive. I know you guys are unhappy women, but you should at least control yourself, right?" Then, Yin snorted, rolling his eyes at Han Shui. "Do you want to take action with me too? I'm warning you, I'm not an easy guy. I won't concern the case when I wasn't conscious. But now that I've wakened up, you can't do anything rash with me. Even if you want to do that, well, you have to wait for a while until I can restore my strength." Han Shui was petrified. If she could use her strength now, perhaps she would have risked everything to tear off Yan's body. Too shameless. Obviously, he had had the extreme pleasure, but now he retorted just like he had to bear loss at an unhappy event. This kid was extremely shameless. Such a thick skin, much thicker than his own power. "Well, did I say anything wrong?" Yin curled his lips. "I'm still young. This time, I've fallen into the wolves' lair. You female wolves have tortured me. I have suffered a great loss." You're flagrant," Han Shui finally screamed, pointing at Yan's face and scolded. "You're exaggerating. You dare say that to us? You be **starred. I'm going to kill you." Then, Han Shui didn't mind her manners or elegant bearings, storming like a vixen towards him. Second sister. Right at this moment, Bing Qing Tong tenderly called her as she was getting up from the ancient tree, putting her clothes on quickly and combing her messy hair. She shook her head, signaling Han Shui to stop. She sighed, as Han Shui halted, speaking sobbingly. "Sister, this be **starred. This be **starred. Oh." Lung Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu gradually woke up. As soon as they recognized the situation, they confusingly put their clothes on, then throwing Yin a murderous look. If their looks could kill, Yin should have been dismembered into 8 pieces. "Why are you looking me like that?" Yin snorted. Apparently, he didn't want to admit his mistake. "I was perceiving my new realm, and you took the chance when I was careless. The 3 of you joined hands and bullied me. You've exhausted me. Now you want to kill me to make me shut up? I'm telling you, although I'm not fully vigorous now, I'm not afraid of you. Don't you dare to dream about turning me into your gigolo? I have big dreams. I don't want to be worn out in this Ice Emperor city to death. I'm going to die with you. Lung Danqing shouted. A flow of cold air gushed out of her body as a 5-meter ice dragon soared up to the sky. F*CK that. You do have viper's venom. You're turning your back to me after you've done with me. Shi Yin grinned oddly, taking a step back. The earth flame flew out from the blood vein ring. The 5-meter ice dragon bumped into the earth flame, immediately turning into a sparkling drop of water, falling into the forest. You're shameless, indeed. The ice-cold flame sent him a message. I have no choice. As things have come to this, I can only be shameless to not be more embarrassed. At least they won't have their hearts broken. Putting resentment on me, it could help reduce their pain and sorrow. I have good intention, and, whether they appreciate it or not, I can't control it. They will hate you for the rest of their lives. It's okay. I'll leave soon. We won't have a chance to meet up again. Let them hate me. Third sister, stop! Bing Qing Tong shouted. Lung Danqing's face was gloomy, looking at Shi Yin. You deserve 10,000 death sentences. It's you forced and raped me. I will never train my Ice Jade technique to the peak. I want to kill you. Third sister, check your Ice Jade technique to see if it has any changes. Bing Qing Tong glared at Shi Yin furiously, then shouted. Can you be a little bit upright? Do not provoke them furthermore. You've taken it all. What else do you want? Although Bing Qing Tong's tone was filled with grudges, her manners toward Shi Yin had more traits of humans, not as cold as ice like before. Under the scrutinizing look, Shi Yin was somewhat afraid, as he suddenly had a feeling that this woman could see through him. Eventually, he nodded embarrassingly and didn't continue his crazy talk. Oh hey, my Ice Jade technique. It seems, Long Danqing sensed her body for a while, her eyes strange. Bing Qing Tong was shaken. She turned to Shuang Yuzhu and told her, Fourth sister, you should sense and see if your Ice Jade technique has some changes too. Shuang Yuzhu gritted her teeth, throwing a furious look at Shi Yin, then sensed her body. After a while, her tender body trembled as she cried. My Ice Jade technique, it didn't step backward, but it seems to have broken through one more level. Me too, cried Lung Danqing. Indeed, Bing Qing Tong screamed with her low tone. Her eyes twinkled, gazing at Shi Yin. We have the same changes. Our Ice Jade technique has progressed. Chapter 515. I was also virgin. Chapter 515. I was also virgin. Lung Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu were shocked in the middle of their thunder fury. Han Shui wore a surprised face, looking at Shi Yin, who was pretty calm now, with doubt filled in her heart. What are you guys talking about? Han Shui, their Ice Jade technique wasn't sluggish, but has advanced somehow. The beautiful eyes of Bing Qing Tong sparkled with a strange light as she blushed. After this incident, we don't know why our technique wasn't held back, but it has a good progress now. Han Shui covered her mouth and couldn't help but exclaim tenderly, her face disbelieving. Shi Yin beamed a faint smile, retreating the earth flame, the devouring gold silk, and the king of demonic insects into the blood vein ring. While killing Ning Qishan, Shi Yin had sunk into his death intent domain and wasn't aware of the surrounding situation. At the same time, his mysterious martial spirit had filtered Ning Qishan's essence qi into the strange energy necessary for warriors. After he had been skin to skin with Lung Danqing, Shuang Yuzhu, and Bing Qing Tong, that strange energy quietly poured into the three women's bodies respectively. The mysterious power was really magical, as it could push the potential of a warrior's martial spirit and enhance the profound qi. Seemed like it had good effects on Lung Danqing and the other two, making their Ice Jade technique advance somehow. This also surprised him. Shi Yin discreetly sensed, and his face cheered up. Ning Qishan was a spirit realm warrior. After his profound qi had been filtered into the mysterious energy and poured into the three women, still, what was left was enough to supplement the part he had consumed. Moreover, It made his profound chi ancient tree enhanced. He gained big in this battle indeed, breaking through to the third sky of Sky Realm, augmenting the amount of energy he had consumed, and filling the profound chi ancient tree, all thanks to the mysterious martial spirit. At this moment, he truly felt the magical chance that he had gotten with the mystical martial spirit at the Blood Pond before entering the Grace mainland. Big sister, are you saying that after you guys have been with this kid, you all gain some benefits? Han Shui blushed, asking with uncertainty. It is. Bing Ching Tong was embarrassed, answered her sister with a frowning face as she was bashful. Why could it be? I don't know. I think you should ask him. Bing Ching Tong looked at Shi Yin, her eyes flickering. After that awkward event, she found herself hard to keep cold when facing Shi Yin. To a woman, her pure body could be considered the essential key to her life. Bing Ching Tong had been saving herself, and she had never done anything flirty in front of any men. She had always appeared as an ice-cold woman. This time, it was unexpected that Shi Yin had claimed her body. Such an incident that made her flurried. She didn't know what to do next. Is it what our adoptive mother reminded us that year wasn't true, perhaps? Han Shui couldn't imagine it, shook her head and then sobbed. She told us many times that when cultivating the ice jade technique, we have to keep our body pure. Once we lost our virginity, we would never enter the higher realm. Don't tell me that she lied to us. Why can you guys leap up after you've lost it? The girly soul in Han Shui thought, perhaps it's quite contrary that defloration could help cultivate the ice jade technique to the peak? Is this ice jade technique a dual cultivating method? Otherwise, why their cultivation base could be enhanced after that? Of course, our mother wouldn't lie us. Bing Ching Tong rolled her eyes at the woman. Han Shui, don't think of nonsense things. This change isn't normal. I could feel a strange energy pouring into us from Shi Yin. That strange energy absorbed into our body and strengthened our ice jade technique. If it were another man, this situation would absolutely never happen. Don't act rashly. She understood Han Shui well. To peak her realm, she could do anything at any cost. If Han Shui thought that defloration could increase her realm with her nature, she wouldn't hesitate but find a man to do that and improve her ice jade technique. Only him then, Han Shui muttered. Her beautiful eyes lit up, looking at Shi Yin with deeper meaning. Her succulent red lips parted, and her face was so charming it could draw people's souls. Shi Yin was surprised, his face awkward. Lung Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu had their eyes flickered. Their faces were gloomy as they were uncertain. No one knew what they were thinking at this moment since they kept silent. Bing Ching Tong rubbed her ear as if she was considering how to treat Shi Yin. None of us had thought about this incident beforehand. And in fact, you guys haven't suffered from a big loss. I was also a virgin. Moreover, I'm still so young. Frankly speaking, you are all cougars. Shi Yan's face was tense as he was explaining himself seriously. Anyway, I'm a man. It wouldn't be a big deal if I lost my virginity. We should let it go and consider that nothing has ever happened. How about that? Be *starred. Lung Danqing blushed, cursing and rolling her eyes at him. You were virgin my ass. Your moves were so experienced. Only ghosts by what you said. Han Shui clenched her teeth, feeling funny and annoyed at the same time. I witnessed that. Do you think we're easy to be fooled? If you didn't have experience, how could you know many things like that? With her words, Han Shui turned bashful, turning her head around to not look at the man. Cough, cough. Shi Yin felt ashamed when his lie was exposed. He didn't continue wearing his serious face, but a more natural look. It has happened. What do you want now? I'm willing to bear the loss. You give me 2 drops of the cold chalcedony, and I will create an ice chamber for you to make up the loss. How does it sound? We should get back to the city. That freak old man's wounded badly, so he won't find us shortly. After we get back to the city, we will talk about this. Bing Ching Tong looked at him and talked gently. They had Shi Yin and the War Devil here, so even if Yu Li Ming were stupid enough to come after them, he would never gain the upper hand. After they got to know Shi Yan's competence, they suddenly felt at ease, and their minds quieted down. This man was still young, and his realm wasn't low. He was mysterious indeed. If they could keep him forever in the Ice Emperor city, it would turn bad to good. Yeah, they had to think about the way to tie him here. Bing Ching Tong contemplated while her eyes sparkled, as she was thinking about the good solutions. Big sister, we still have poison in our sea of consciousness. Han Shui's face was filled with bitterness. That monster said that if we can't have the antidote within 7 days, our sea of consciousness will disperse and our host's soul will vanish. Long Dan Qing suddenly remembered the strange thing in her sea of consciousness, and her face paled. The joy brought to her from the advancement of her ice jade technique faded away in just a blink. Yes, what if her ice jade technique was enhanced, and she still had the poison in her sea of consciousness? She couldn't even urge a bit of her power. After 7 days, her sea of consciousness would dissolve, and her life would come to an end. What was to be joyful about? Bing Ching Tong sighed, speaking up begrudgingly, "We'll get back to the Ice Emperor city first, then we'll see if we can find a solution. Sigh, if we can't do anything, we will visit the Ning family to see if they have any solutions. Even if the Ning family has the antidote, they won't give it to us." Lung Dan Qing's face was cold, her eyes as frosty as ice. The Nings are shameless. If Ning Luohan didn't arrange this, we wouldn't have met that freak old man. I hate that I can't kill the entire Ning family. We can't count on the Ning family. Han Shui sighed as she knew that that solution wasn't practical. Don't get so low. Get back to the Ice Emperor city first. We'll find another way for the antidote, Shi Yin urged impatiently. Bing Ching Tong nodded, hesitated for a moment, and then said, "Bing Chong and the others should be in the Banner family now. The Banners are a strong force. We can ease our mind if they stay there. So now, we should go back and negotiate things later." After making the decision, Bing Ching Tong and Shuang Yuzhu took Han Shui and Lung Danqing, flying together with Shi Yin and following the old track. The Miasma Cloud Wetland. Inside a swamp where dark mist and cloud hovered, a naked, middle-aged, sturdy man was sitting cross-legged on the water surface. He was breathing the miasma there. On his naked body, several hundreds of toxic insects, scorpion, spiders, snakes, and centipedes were crawling and biting him. These small insects were moving, crying mournfully. A colorful halo expanded like rainbows blooming out from him. His eyes were amazingly beautiful. A short while later, the venom in his body was sucked off by the toxic insects. They then detached from his body. Whenever an insect finished its job, the 7-colored halo on his body got brighter. Swoosh! A body covered with blood appeared next to the swamp. That silhouette gushed out blood from his mouth, then coughed badly. The vigorous man in the swamp slowly opened his eyes, looking at that man with shock. What's happened to you? Bedevilment? Blood trickled down from the corner of Yu Li Ming's mouth. His face was ashen as he spoke up with gloomy, ferocious tone. "I got attacked. Ning Qishan was killed. The opponent was a young man whose cultivation base was only at the Sky Realm. But he has the devouring gold silkworm from your Ning family. He also has a black iron puppet, very scary," Yu Li Ming explained briefly. The sturdy man listened to him, as his face gradually darkened. 7-colored rainbow light flashed in his eyes. Suddenly, numerous poisonous insects on his body fell off. However, they all exploded even before they even reached the water. The 7-colored halo bloomed, covering the entire space. "Yu-ji, can you endure another battle?" The robust man strode out from the swamp. Many tattoos of evil, toxic beasts appeared on his skin, replacing the cover of the toxic insects. Along with his steps, those beasts looked extremely lively, giving people a feeling that they were ready to battle at any time. "I can try, but I can't deal with that black iron puppet. I'll handle all of them. You just need to control the women of the Ice Emperor city. How about that?" "I think I can do that. Let's go." Chapter 516. Try to be flexible. Chapter 516. Try to be flexible. The Banner family in the White Emperor city. Basie got up from the 3 maids on his bed. He rubbed his back and smiled bitterly while he was cursing under his breath. "You hurried back to vent out your animal instinct?" A rude voice came from the door as it was pushed open. A hefty man with a scarred face came in. You don't make any progress. You're too old to have such desire for women. If you continue this path, how can you enter the third sky of spirit realm? Ah, Deji. Bathe was embarrassed. He explained briefly. No, it's not what you think. I got affected by the vanished mind smoke of Liu Ming. I had to vent out the desire. You Li Ming, the one who cultivates poisonous technique in the miasma cloud wetland? Bathe was surprised. Why did you fight with him? Isn't he secluding and cultivating in the miasma cloud wetland? Well, it's... Bathe briefed the story once. What? Bathe was shocked. Are you saying that the kid Lao Li told us about has such tremendous martial techniques? Even Yu Li Ming couldn't defeat him? Bathe nodded. Bathe was more frightened. He was stunned for a while, then said with a low voice, Not good. What's up? Yu Li Ming has a good relationship with Ning Du Quan. Ning Du Quan wouldn't just sit there and ignore the bitter fruit he has had to settle for this time. Moreover, that kid has the devouring gold silkworm. If Yu Li Ming tells him that, he will know immediately that the kid had killed Ning Zhe in the dark magnetic noxious mist. With Ning Du Quan's characteristic, he won't give up. That kid's excellent. He's young, but his realm's not low. Furthermore, he has many secrets. I think he could be a good ally. Bathe listened to him and couldn't help but fall in thought. After a while, he suddenly recalled something. Lao Li told me that that kid had saved Kai Yi of the Aok family. If the Aok stand with us, we can solve the risk even if Yu Li Ming and Ning Du Quan join hands. I'll call Lao Li right now. Bathe understood that, then shouted. Lao Li and his brother came as they were called. The Aok family. Kai Yi was cultivating in the secret chamber with her eyes closed. She was steadying the devil barrier of her sky realm, while comprehending the true meanings of the Aok family's power. After she returned from the dark magnetic noxious mist, she had entered the sky realm. With the secret treasure she collected, she was like a tiger with a pair of wings. Seniors in the family often complimented her. Kai was wearing a dark blue robe as she was condensing and converting the essence chi of heaven and earth into her profound chi. She was putting all of her mind to it. Suddenly, a silver ring on her white hand jingled, waking her from her cultivation. Kai wasn't happy. She cursed under her breath while tenderly caressing her silvery ring. Kaijia, brother Shi Yin, has arrived the Ice Emperor city, but seems like he has troubles there. Kai's beautiful eyes brightened, jolting up from her jade bed. She quickly got out of the secret chamber, walking straight to the place of the Aok family's master. She called out with her sweet voice, Big Uncle, I have some urgent matter. Some noises arose from the ground under the miniature mountain landscape. A silhouette appeared, smiling. Little Yi, did you meet something you don't understand while cultivating? No. Kai shook her head, then sputtered. Do you remember Shi Yin, the one I've told you before? He's the one who saved me in the dark magnetic noxious mist. Yes, the housemaster of the Aok family, by Gu San, nodded. He asked again with surprise, Why do you mention him now? Didn't you say that the kid is in the Endless Sea now? What's up? Do you want to go to the Endless Sea to meet him now? No, uncle. He came to our divine great land, but he seems to meet some troubles. Kai didn't conceal, briefing the information she collected. Ning family from Miasma Cloud Wetland wants to kill him. Uncle, can you help him? If he didn't save me in the dark magnetic noxious mist, I would have had no chance to meet you again. Kai looked at him with sad eyes. The Ning family isn't easy to cope with. Bai Gusan was hesitant for a while. He frowned as he contemplated. If we mess it up, the impact will be big. Perhaps it would trigger the war between the Heaven Temple and our fighting union. This matter is really complicated. Give me time to consider it carefully. Big Uncle, Shi Yin has the life original fluid, Kai muttered. Bai Gusan's eyes lit up. Good. This kid saved you and now he's saving the women of the Ice Emperor City. We have a good reason now. Ice Emperor City is a member of the Fighting Union. Although they're at the lowest level, we shouldn't let the Heaven Temple trouble them. So, even if this matter worsens, it was them who have caused everything. We'll have a good reason to answer the General Union, too. Kai parted her lips while giggling. Big Uncle, Don't try to find excuses. If you want to create a good relationship with him, just say it clearly. You even lie to your niece. Nice move, though. Haha, Bai Gusin didn't feel any shame. We don't need to mobilize many people for this matter. I'll go with you. The Ning family won't arrange all of their elite forces either. As long as we can control the whole picture, Ning Duquan would consider the situation and retreat himself. Yeah. The Ice Emperor City. In the center of the Grand Ice Palace, Bing Qingtong, Han Shui, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Danqing scattered inside an ice chamber to meditate. Bing Qingtong released her soul consciousness, entering Han Shui's sea of consciousness to find the way to cure the poison there. The bone-chilling air hovered above her sea of consciousness in an attempt to eliminate the toxin there. However, right when she sent her soul consciousness to Han Shui's sea of consciousness, she immediately found the woman's entire sea of consciousness being poisoned. This toxin was such a great soul-poisoning substance. If they wanted to wash the poison away, they had to destroy Han Shui's sea of consciousness. The basis of a warrior was his sea of consciousness. If Han Shui's sea of consciousness were destroyed, she would die altogether, and her host soul would vanish too. Bing Qingtong tried everything she knew but couldn't find an effective method. Eventually, she retrieved her soul consciousness, then sighed with a pale face. Han Shui and Long Danqing wore sad countenance. Shuang Yuzhu kept silent. Later on, she shook her head begrudgingly. Seems we have to find that monster Yuli Ming. Otherwise, when the sea of consciousness starts to scatter, we will have no way. Where's Shi Yin? Bing Qingtong's eyes raked around the room. Her black eyebrows slammed together. He left already? Why? He took some people to the ice crystal treasure house. Shuang Yuzhu's eyes were strange. This be asterisk starred. Bing Qingtong gritted her teeth, speaking up with indignance. He only cares about his business. He ignores our lives. Such a heartless fellow. I just try to be polite, and he did take somebody to the ice crystal treasure house. Seems like he doesn't want to be involved with us. Soon, he'll leave us. Just let him leave. Long Danqing snarled, her heart filled with rage. When Shi Yin and the women got back to the Ice Emperor City, he immediately asked Bing Qingtong for some items, saying that he got an urgent business that needed those things. Bing Qingtong didn't think much and nodded to allow him. Moreover, she told him the location of the ice crystal treasure house and gave him the key. She had agreed to let him take the materials there for his cultivation. After the beautiful scene had happened between them, Bing Qingtong had the intention to keep him in the Ice Emperor City. On the one hand, he had the ice-cold flame, which was the top precious treasure for their cultivation, and on the other hand, this young man had many layers of mysterious and intimidating abilities. Bing Qingtong was sane. As things had happened, what was done could not be undone, so regret meant nothing now. In this case, how to turn the bad things into the good things was the issue she should think about. She had thought about it carefully. She assumed that if Shi Yin stayed in the Ice Emperor City, not only the power of the Ice Emperor City would be enhanced, but also their cultivation. However, by the time they got back to the city, Shi Yin didn't say even a word to comfort them. The first thing he spoke was to ask for items. He didn't even say thanks after receiving the key from her. Looking at him running toward the ice crystal treasure house, Bing Qingtong felt irritated. She vaguely felt that Shi Yin wanted to deny the relationship with them, as he didn't want to deepen the connection between them. Dajia, we must find him. Shuang Yuzhu was getting angrier the more she thought about the young man. She snorted and then jolted up from her seat. Sit down. Bing Qingtong scolded her. What do you want to do? Not to mention that he doesn't have any responsibility towards us. With his ability, do you think you can hold him? Your second and third sisters got poisoned. If you're so emotional at this moment, you will just make things worse. He raped us, but he acts like nothing has happened. He didn't say anything to calm us. He only has wicked intentions. He wants to separate from us. I can't hold it. Shuang Yuzhu was indignant. She bit her lower lips as cold light sparkled from her pretty eyes. We can't blame him for all the things. Although Bing Qingtong didn't feel fine, she was trying to calm her sisters. We were affected by the vanish mind smoke. It was us who started it. Talking about damage, He only damaged our third sister. We're women. I know. But if he flees away like nothing matters, what can we do? Use force? Apparently, we can't. Both of us aren't the opponent of the black iron puppet, let alone his demonic beasts. Bing Ching Tong beamed a forced smile. What bad things have we done to have Metabe * starred like him? He doesn't want to admit it. Why don't we use the soft way? Han Shui suggested tenderly. Soft. Bing Ching Tong gulped. How soft? That bastard has violated our third sister. He admitted this issue. If we send third sister to ask him, perhaps it will work. Han Shui blushed, looking at Long Danqing. Third sister, if you come and seduce him and talk to him softly, I think he may stay. You want me to seduce him? Long Danqing cried. She panted as she got up. Second sister, what's the plan you have in your mind? That bastard raped me, and now you want me to seduce him? Do you really think I'm that despicable? I didn't mean it. Shame filled Han Shui's face. So, what do you mean? Long Danqing's face was as cold as ice. As things have happened, I think he should be guilty on seeing you. If you can go soft at him, I think even if he has the will of steel, he can be melted with your words. Han Shui tried to beam a forced smile. Isn't it plain old seduction? It is. Chapter 517. Unlock Bloodline. Chapter 517. Unlock Bloodline. In an ice hall inside the palace of the Ice Emperor City's city master. Is that the thing you wanted? Shi Yin frowned in surprise, looking at Ba Si Tong, who was overjoyed. It was a solid gold key that looked nothing different in the cold ice hall. There was nothing abnormal about the key, but Ba Si Tong was way too excited on seeing it. Yeah, that's it. It's the God Blood Key, the most precious treasure of our Ba family. Ba Si Tong extended his hand, caressing the key tenderly, just like he was comforting his lover's skin with love and focus, not wanting to leave. The Ba family had declined for years. Up to Ba Si Tong's generation, they had only the pair of brother and sister left. If they hadn't found the God Blood Key in the Ice Emperor City, not long afterward, the great vigor martial spirit would have faded, and eventually, it would have become a normal bloodline. Thank you. Ba Si Tong took a deep breath, sincerely expressing his gratitude, his eyes filled with appreciation. Not a big deal. Shi Yin urged him while smiling. We have gotten the God Blood Key now. We should release the power completely to prevent unexpected events. Do it now. I'll guard you. Here. Ba Fei was a little bit surprised. They were at the palace of the city master, the holiest place of the Ice Emperor City. If they used the God Blood Key in such a place, perhaps all warriors in the Ice Emperor City would know about them. This pair of brother and sister had gotten used to hiding themselves. In recent years, they had been staying in the mountains or deep inside jungles to cultivate. They didn't dare to make any big moves that could catch the eyes of the others. They planned to take the God Blood Key, leave the Ice Emperor City, and find an isolated area to use the Blood God Key. Having heard what Shi Yin said, they couldn't help but hesitate. No problem. The city master of the Ice Emperor City won't have evil thoughts against you guys. Even if they have, I will oppress them. Don't worry, Shi Yin comforted them. All right, Ba Si Tong also wanted to use the God Blood Key here to gain the mysterious power his ancestors had passed to him. With Shi Yin's guarantee, he agreed immediately. Shi Yin eyed the God Blood Key with an earnest look. He had always been interested in mysterious treasures like this key. The God Blood Key was the most precious treasure the Ba family had kept for generations, functioning as the key to unlocking the bloodline of the Ba family. Shi Yin felt excited about the situation that was about to unfold. Under his attentive look, Ba Si Tong held his breath, concentrating his mind. First, he slowly gathered the power in his body. A while later, Ba Si Tong urged his profound qi to flow through his left index finger. His finger glowed while a robust aura gushed out from it. Break! Ba Si Tong let out a short shout. The skin on his fingertip had a small cut, as a drop of gold blood that looked like a pearl shot out. Ba Si Tong's face was tense. His soul, spirit, and mind had been condensed into that drop of gold blood. He used his thought to control the drop slowly rolling to the god blood key on his right palm. SSS, SSS, SSS. When the drop of gold blood touched the god blood key, gold mist suddenly exuded from the key. After 15 minutes, the god blood key was like it was boiling. Gold bubbles emerged as a wild, vigorous power shook violently, diffusing from the god blood key. Boom! Great tremor transmitted from the god blood key. In just a blink, countless beams of gold light shot out radiantly, lighting up the whole ice hall. The sparkling ice hall was lit up with the strange, golden light, its ice walls seeming to be painted by a golden watercolor. So magnificent! Ba Si-ting roared, guiding his index finger nearer to the god blood key. The boiling gold bubbles from the god blood key acted as if they were little gold fairies, getting into Ba Si-tung's body through the cut on his fingertip. Ba Si-tung's body gradually turned into a gold hue, and a golden light radiated from him. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The rumbling noise from the god blood key was unceasing. Flows of bursting gold energy were like strong, uneasy ancient beasts that were bouncing here and there inside the key to find a way to leave the key confinement. Quick! Ba Fei couldn't hold her shout. Ba Si-tung didn't dare to hesitate. He put his index finger on the god blood key as fast as a thought. Boom! A heavy explosion resounded in the ice hall. People then saw the god blood key turn into a golden flesh membrane that covered Ba Si-tung. A large amount of mysterious gold energy turned into strange gold patterns and started to be absorbed into Ba Si-tung's body. Shi Yin could feel clearly that those gold patterns not only had the wild, mysterious energy, but also brought along the strange, peculiar memories. This was the ability inheritance, including the exclusive power. Inside the cover of the gold flesh membrane, suddenly, Ba Si-tung shook violently, screaming in the ice hall. As he only had the Nirvana realm cultivation base, when this generous energy poured into him, it surpassed the limit his body could bear. His vessels were bulging under his skin, which looked both fierce and vigorously beautiful. Ba Si-tung was roaring and shaking inside the ice hall. His entire body was blooming with a golden halo, just like a gold sun, continually releasing a vibrating energy. Under Shi Yan's scrutinizing look, beams of golden light absorbed into his body one by one. In a tyrannical way, these strands of golden light forcefully fused with his bones, vessels and meridians, and even his internal organs. Tens of thousands of golden strands were moving with lightning speed inside his body towards his brain. What's happening? Inside the secret chamber, Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Long Danqing discolored. They jolted up from their seat as they were anxious and uneasy. They didn't know why the whole palace was vaguely shaking, just like there was a giant beast walking back and forth in the palace, which shook the other buildings of the place and made them about to collapse. Is that Yu Li Ming? Han Shui paled, then asked instinctively. Bing Qing Tong was calm. She closed her beautiful eyes to sense. The noise comes from the ice hall Shi Yan's borrowing from us. What's he doing this time? Long Danqing spoke through her gritted teeth. Let's go and check it out. Bing Qing Tong hesitated for a while. The thick wall of their secret chamber suddenly split open, revealing an ice tunnel. Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Long Danqing mused for a while, but eventually, they couldn't press down the curiosity in their hearts, following their big sister. Although the palace of the Ice Emperor City was massive, Shi Yan's location and their chamber weren't far from each other. Not long after the four women got out of the chamber, they reached the spacious ice hall. Inside the ice hall, Ba Si-tung was breathing heavily. Golden vessels bulged under his skin all over his body. An incomparable verve energy was washing his body from the inside, which bloomed the golden halo in this ice hall, letting people observe the scene clearly. Bing Qing Tong and the other three stood at the entrance. At first glance, they couldn't help but scream in fear. When Ba Si-tung had come here, he had only the third sky of Nirvana realm cultivation base. What had happened to him that in just a short while, he had obtained that tyrannically intimidating aura? The aura from Ba Si-tung was surging more vehemently. Let alone the Nirvana realm warriors. Even when a peak sky realm warrior urged all of his power, he couldn't reach this level. What was going on? Bing Ching Tong was full of suspicion. She couldn't help but ask Shi Yin, "What the heck have you done here?" As Shi Yin was concentrating on Ba Si Tong, her voice woke him up. He grinned, waving at her. "Come here. It's rare to have a chance to see the god blood fusing with the body. This is the first time I've observed it. If we don't watch it to the end, we should apologize to our eyes." "What?" Bing Ching Tong and the other three screamed in fear. God blood fusing with the body. Their eyes brightened, gazing at Ba Si Tong at the center of the ice hall. Their hearts were filled with a strange feeling. What kind of good fortune did he have? Where did he find the god blood? Under their swelling curiosity, the four women walked into the hall with caution, crossing Ba Si Tong in his wild state to reach Shi Yan's place. "What's happened?" Bing Ching Tong darkened her face and snorted. "How many dark things have you been concealing? Where did he get the god blood? Why does he need to fuse it here? What does it matter to you?" "From your treasure house," explained Shi Yin. Bing Ching Tong was stunned, her face disbelieving. "There's god blood in my treasure house? Why didn't I know it? I've been watching over the treasure house for so many years. Why haven't I found the god blood there? Is my fortune that bad?" Bing Ching Tong felt bitter with her depressed thinking. "Don't overthink. Even if you had the god blood, you can't fuse it with your blood. Only he can do that with the stuff you have. Besides him, no one can use it." With a glance, Shi Yin got what she was thinking. He beamed a faint smile and comforted her. "Besides the ones who have the bloodline of gods, the others can never find the god blood. So, it's not your karma problem." Having heard him say that, Bing Ching Tong felt a bit better. "Shi Yin, how do you know so many things? And what's the relationship between you and him?" Han Shui's eyes brightened. She smiled softly and said sweetly. Her brilliant pupils strangely twinkled, gazing at Shi Yin all the time without a single blink. "Little beguilement." Long Dan Qing cursed under her breath. She didn't know why she felt irritated on seeing her sister's charming appearance. "Just a friend?" Shi Yin smiled faintly, acted as if he didn't see Han Shui. He then turned to Long Dan Qing and talked to her. "Did you cure the poison in your sea of consciousness?" "No one needs your care. I'll die for your sake. I think you've wished I could die earlier." Long Dan Qing darkened her face, snorted coldly. "Seems you don't have the antidote." Shi Yan's eyes flickered. He hesitated for a while, then said, "Well, would you let me check it?" "You?" Long Dan Qing was surprised, mocking. "Even my big sister had her hands tied. Do you think you can? It's a soul poison, which can't be treated with normal pellets. Don't be so self-righteous, okay?" "Yeah, because it's the soul-type poison is why I want to check it. If it needs herbs or pellets, I have no method though. Let me see it." Long Dan Qing was shocked. Bing Ching Tong was moved. She thought then said, "Do you have a solution for it?" "I'm not sure. I need to check it first," Shi Yin answered uncertainly. "Then you can check me first." Han Shui smiled mildly, deliberately walking towards him with her graceful gait. She then extended her jade-like left arm. Chapter 518. Join Soul. Chapter 518. Join Soul. Han Shui was proactive, and her manners more tender, as she was willing to let Shi Yin do what he wanted. Looking at her mild bearing, Long Dan Qing couldn't hold her anger. She snorted and then stepped forward, extending her hand to Shi Yin. Long Dan Qing frowned while talking to him. "Check it. If you can't do anything, spit it out soon. Don't waste my time." Han Shui laughed naturally. Her black eyebrows convulsed. She seemed to understand her sister's psychology, so she stepped back, not wanting to compete with the younger woman. Long Dan Qing didn't look at Shi Yin, just stretched her hand and then turned her head around, looking at Ba Si Tong. At this moment, the god blood key in Ba Si Tong's palm disappeared. A thick cocoon covered him completely. It looked like he was confined in a gold prison. Ba Si Tong suddenly quieted down, no longer screaming. He stayed silent inside the cocoon, gathering his power. The fluctuations emitting from his body ceased as well. "No need to be tense." Shi Yin smiled, releasing his soul consciousness and entering her sea of consciousness. Long Dan Qing had some contradictions in her heart. When she felt his soul consciousness coming close, she felt uneasy, and her face reddened as she let out a slight snort. Shi Yin ignored her, only focusing on bringing his soul consciousness into her sea of consciousness. He then concentrated on checking the anomalous status there. Minutes later, he retrieved his soul consciousness, his face solemn. The poison not only affects your sea of consciousness, but also the host soul. A bit difficult here. The poison has expanded to the host soul? That's fast. Bing Qing Tong shouted, her eyes complicated. Seems this toxin diffuses really fast. With this speed, it will burst out shortly. At that time, she didn't finish her saying. Han Shui and Lung Danqing understood. They all were desperate, with gloomy countenances, sighing in distress. There's nothing we can do about it? Bing Qing Tong was quite depressed, shaking her head continually. Her beautiful eyes shimmered with pain. I can try, but I need to send my host soul into her sea of consciousness. It's complicated and dangerous at the same time. Shi Yin thought, then said, when my host soul enters her sea of consciousness, she has to let go of her host soul and let me lead. No matter what I do, she shouldn't resist. Otherwise, she can't bear it, and even my host soul will be burned. This is extremely dangerous. Whether she wants to do that, I can't control. You guys consider and tell me your decision. Once the host soul left the soul of consciousness, if it met a soul attack, under the given circumstance that there was no sea of consciousness to protect it, it would be eradicated. In fact, if he didn't feel that he owed Lung Danqing, he would have never proposed this method. Releasing the host soul, he had to bear risks which weren't less than Lung Danqing's anyway. Are you sure? Bing Qing Tong asked with a serious complexion. I'm sure, but it's not the 100% sure. Sister, what do you think? Shi Yin kept silent, not saying anything. He stood while looking at her emotionlessly, waiting for her final decision. All right, after a while, Lung Danqing made up her mind, talking through her gritted teeth. I'm giving everything to you. If you do something bad, I won't spare you even if I turn into a ghost. Shi Yin forced a smile, shaking his head. Well, just cut it off then. When my host soul enters your soul of consciousness, it's bad already. If you have put up your guard against me like that, I don't want to take risks. You be **starred. Lung Danqing scolded him loudly, rolling her eyes at him. Her face blushed. How? Shi Yin felt wronged. Don't babble. Do it. I don't care anymore. At most, I'll die because of you. You've harmed me once anyways. Lung Danqing gathered her guts, then lifted up her head to reveal her creamy neck. At that moment, she had nothing in her mind. This be **starred. Why can't he talk more tenderly? He really wants me to die of indignance? Harumph, if he does something bad, even if I die, I won't let you live comfortably. Lung Danqing thought, you are willing to do this and it isn't me forcing you. Later, you shouldn't resist. Otherwise, I'll play with you. Shi Yan's visage was tense, giving her a stern advice. He was careful enough to release the war devil. You guys stay away from me. He looked at Bing Qing Tong and the others. The three women had a grimaced face. Shi Yin asked them to back off, then released his war devil. Obviously, he didn't trust them. When the host soul left the body, if the body got hurt severely, the host soul would never be able to recover. This young man was worried that they would take action to him. That's why he had to be that cautious. You don't trust us? Bing Qing Tong's cold face darkened as she snorted. It doesn't mean I don't trust you. I'm worried about other occurrences. Although Yu Li Ming is gone, it doesn't mean that he won't come back, right? Shi Yin beamed a wry smile, then sat down. He contemplated for a while, then released his king of demonic insects and let it sleep on his shoulder. Afterward, he started his action. The host soul flew out from his sea of consciousness, turning into a strange beam of light and entering Lung Danqing's sea of consciousness. The soft body of the woman shivered, and her face immediately changed. When the opponent's host soul intruded her sea of consciousness, it wasn't different from her body getting intruded. The Sea of Consciousness was the forbidden place of a warrior. This meant they would never let anyone enter there. Staying inside the Sea of Consciousness was the host soul, which was the root of a warrior. Also, there were the life seal and memories. This place was considered the most private, forbidden area for the warriors. Letting a strange man enter this private area was much more embarrassing than letting somebody seeing her naked body. This meant she had allowed him to see everything deep inside her heart. If it weren't a special situation, Long Danqing would have never allowed any man sending his host soul to her Sea of Consciousness. However, Shi Yan's host soul now appeared there. As Long Danqing felt her host soul trembling inside the Sea of Consciousness, her slender body shivered slightly, as if someone was stroking her body. This feeling was hard to be described with words. Strands of soul consciousness were released from Shi Yan's host soul, quietly entering Long Danqing's Sea of Consciousness. When their soul consciousness tangled, their bodies shook vehemently, generating a peculiar feeling. Shi Yan immediately felt adventurous and uncontrollable. This soul consciousness entanglement was more sensual than the union of the two bodies. It almost pushed him out of control, confusing his host soul. Warning himself constantly, he pressed down the strange emotion from the bottom of his heart, then started to filter the poison. Using his strands of soul consciousness together with the power of the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame, he was moving around Long Danqing's Sea of Consciousness. Whenever he found the toxin, he immediately used the soul consciousness strand to cover it, and then burnt it with the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame. The 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame was a magical soul-destroying flame. It worked on all kinds of soul powers. This kind of poison was one of the soul powers. When it got in contact with the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame, it had no resistance and got burnt into ashes in just a flash, leaving nothing. Manipulating his soul consciousness, Shi Yan slowly moved around Long Danqing's Sea of Consciousness and searched for the poison. He carefully covered it with his strands of soul consciousness first, then erased it with the 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame. The 9 Serenities soul-devouring flame was extremely intimidating. If it appeared in someone else's Sea of Consciousness, the Sea of Consciousness would be burnt down immediately. If his soul consciousness hadn't covered the fiery flame, Long Danqing's Sea of Consciousness would have vanished in a flash. While Shi Yan was washing the toxin, Long Danqing's body was shivering slightly. A red hue covered all over her body. She even couldn't control herself, breathing sweetly as if someone was disrespecting her. Bing Qingtong, Han Shui, and Shuang Yuzhu looked at her with odd faces. A strange feeling arose from the bottom of their hearts. Among the three, Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu had been skin-to-skin with Shi Yan in the forest. Chapter 519. Strong Bonded Sisterhood. Chapter 519. Strong Bonded Sisterhood. Shi Yan's host soul got back to its place. He then stood silently, throwing a glare at Long Danqing, who had just recovered, giving her a faint smile. "Are you all right?" The corner of Long Danqing's mouth convulsed, then cracked into a smile as she gently shook her head, her bright eyes scrutinizing him with great interest. "You're a bad boy. You have a lot of dark things, and you told us that you were a virgin. Let me see how you can deceive me now." Shi Yan was embarrassed, forced to smile, but didn't say anything. Han Shui was struck, as she couldn't hold her joy while screaming. "Third sister, he did help you dissolve the toxin?" Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu were emotional, looking at him with surprise. "Yeah." Long Danqing nodded happily. This B***** has some mysterious abilities, indeed. After his host soul entered my Sea of Consciousness, he cleaned all the poison there. Now, I don't need to worry about it anymore. It's... Bing Qingtong's beautiful eyes sparkled, her heart filled with strange feelings. Her eyes studied him with a greater interest. The soul-type poison was really hard to clean. Only a true God Realm warrior, who had the God Soul, could borrow the formidable power of the God Soul to wash the soul poison. It was evident that Shi Yan had only the Sky Realm cultivation base, which was even one level lower than theirs. But he could still clean up the toxin. This changed Bing Qingtong's thoughts about Shi Yan, inclining to more unimaginable. Hey, I also have poison. Han Shui smiled mildly, walking to Shi Yin with sincerity. She folded her slender thighs, sitting down next to Long Danqing and looking at him with longing face. You want it too? Shi Yin frowned, his face strange. To wash the poison in Long Danqing's soul, he had to join his soul with hers. The wonderful feeling drove him vehemently. And, if he carried out soul joint again, the secrets he had hidden from the bottom of his heart would be disclosed to Han Shui. He didn't have good feelings toward this woman. From Long Danqing's memories, he knew that they went to the Ning family in Miasma Cloud Wetland to seek for help, which was all this woman's plan. She always wanted to replace Bing Qing Tong in the Ice Emperor city. When they were in the jungle, he didn't vent out his desire for her. In his point of view, he didn't cause any loss to Han Shui. Also, he didn't want to reveal the secrets of his heart to Han Shui. As she sensed that Shi Yin seemed to not agree to cure her, Han Shui paled, tears lingering in her eyes. You are so heartless. You want to see me die? If you ignore me, I have to die. Although I've made mistakes, I admitted my faults. Han Shui looked at him miserably, with her pathetic appearance and watery eyes. Shi Yin snorted as he knew she was just pretending. He said with disdain, "Cut it off. I don't owe you anything. Don't show that face to me." Han Shui discolored, turning colder. Are you that heartless? Do we have any relationship? Shi Yin sneered. Relationship, Han Shui was dazed. Her face then turned red. She then said with her head cocked down, What relationship do you want? Do you want me to serve you like my sisters did? Well, I'm not afraid of that, though. If you have true feelings for me, it's okay to give myself to you. Shi Yin was surprised. Bing Qing Tong and Shuang Yuzhu were also shocked, not knowing what to say. Sister, you want to improve your ice jade technique, right? Lung Danqing snorted. Did you see our ice jade technique has been advanced, and you want to use the same way to leap up your ice jade technique? Is that what you want? Just with a glance, she understood Han Shui's calculation. Han Shui and Bing Qing Tong had always competed against each other, as the former wanted to replace the latter to be the master of Ice Emperor City. For this goal, this woman could do anything. As long as she could press Bing Qing Tong down, let alone giving him her pure body, even if she had to become Shi Yan's concubine, it wasn't a big deal. As Long Danqing had known the secrets deep in Shi Yan's heart, she wouldn't want to share them with anyone else. Thinking that Han Shui could use the same method to know Shi Yan's feeling and characteristic, she felt irritated. In her eyes, only her knowing his secrets was enough. Third sister, do you really want me to die? Han Shui paled, looking at her sister with shock, clenching her jaw. I didn't mean that. Long Danqing was busted. She wanted to say something, but eventually kept silent and sighed. Shi Yin, Bing Qing Tong looked at him while begging. My second sister isn't bad. She just wants to compete with me. That makes her run on the wrong track. The four of us are all orphans. We have only each other to live on. Although we don't get along well, I don't want bad things to happen to her. Don't you see it? Han Shui's eyes brightened a little bit as she felt shame, letting out a sigh. Dajia, we are sisters. We don't want anything bad happens to you. After this occurrence, I hope our sisterhood will restore as it was at the beginning. Bing Qing Tong said sincerely. Han Shui mused for a long while and then nodded silently. Shi Yin, please help her. I know you're not a bad guy. Lung Danqing thought, then begged him. Shi Yin frowned, coldly glaring at Han Shui. He hesitated for a while, then said begrudgingly, All right, but I want to make it clear that while my host soul is contacting with yours, you are not allowed to peek at my private stories. Otherwise, don't blame me for not being merciful. After he had finished, Han Shui's face changed. She thought, then laughed. Don't worry. I won't do that. I only need you to cure my poison. I'm not interested in other matters. Having heard that, Shi Yin finally agreed. He sat down cross-legged again, then released his host's soul. As he had experienced washing the toxin for Long Danqing, this time, his speed was faster. At first, he used his soul consciousness to enter Han Shui's sea of consciousness, covered the poison and burn it with the 9 Serenity soul devouring flame. After that, he would intrude Han Shui's host soul. When the host souls touched, the wonderful feeling filled their souls simultaneously. Their bodies both shook. Just like Long Danqing, Han Shui's soft body shivered as she couldn't control her moaning. Long Danqing glared at the woman. Her black brows slammed together. She harumphed, not feeling comfortable in her heart. Shi Yin intruded the most secret area at the bottom of her heart. He then knew that she was an orphan since she was born. The Ice Emperor City's city master had adopted her. Before that, she had spent a rough life, when she hadn't had enough food to fill her stomach daily. After she entered the Ice Emperor City, she always focused on practice and training, but still, she couldn't surpass Bing Qingtong. The former city master had usually urged her to practice more, so she could be as excellent as Bing Qingtong. At that time, she was still a child and was curious about everything. She hadn't put all her head into her cultivation, which kept her one level lower than Bing Qingtong every time they had a competition. It was also the reason why the former city master had often reprimanded her. The more she got reprimanded, the more she hated Bing Qingtong. She felt that if her sister weren't too brilliant, she wouldn't have been scolded that often. The former city master had been very strict on them. At the time of testing, if their realms weren't high enough, not only did they get rebuked, but also grounded. Since she'd preferred playing to studying, she got grounded the most often. Every time she was grounded, she thought it was because of Bing Qingtong. She had been putting forth everything to reach the same realm as Bing Qingtong. By the time the former city master choosing her successor, Han Shui had put all of her mind in it. She had hoped that she would be chosen to prove that she was better than Bing Qingtong. However, the former city master didn't give her a chance to prove herself when she directly passed the city master position to Bing Qingtong. She then held indignant feelings, as she felt that her years of efforts became useless. She came to talk to her adoptive mother, but her mother told her, "You aren't as excellent as your sister." From that day onward, Han Shui had put Bing Qingtong as her sole target. Because of this target, she always went against Bing Qingtong. She wanted to prove that her mother made a mistake that year because she was truly the strongest among the sisters. Shi Yin saw all the old stories that hid deep inside Han Shui's soul. However, under his warning, Han Shui didn't dare to peep in his secret and was just enjoying the tender pleasure of the soul joining. Minutes later, Shi Yin had cleaned all the toxin and understood around 70% or 80% of Han Shui's feelings and memories. He then left her sea of consciousness. This woman didn't have good fortune, but she hadn't made many mistakes. She was just a little bit stubborn. As he knew her secrets and her feelings now, when Shi Yin looked at Han Shui, he didn't hate her as much as before. He had sympathy for her, as he knew that she had been through so many difficulties in her life, and she had been making endless efforts just to prove herself. However, she couldn't fulfill her wishes, which led her to the wrong track, making many mistakes. The host souls came back to their own places. Shi Yin opened his eyes, looking at Han Shui with a complicated complexion. However, he was friendlier now. "Are you all right?" "I'm okay." Han Shui's eyes were a bit dim, looking at him blankly. Do you know all things about me?" She was a sensitive woman. Although Shi Yin's change was minor, she could feel what had happened. "No." Shi Yin shook his head. Han Shui didn't say anything or felt happy after the toxin in her soul was washed off. Quite the contrary, she felt sad, as the secrets in her heart were now known by a stranger. She didn't feel well due to this. It irritated her. Compared to losing her virginity, this caused her to feel more disgraceful. "Oh!" At this moment, Ba Si Tong released a happy groan. The big gold cocoon covering him disappeared, leaving no trace, and the gold halo gradually retreated into his body. A vigorous, arbitrary aura that couldn't be controlled burst out of him. The man opened his eyes, his pupils now gold. This was extremely strange and mysterious. "Shi Yin, thank you." Ba Si Tong thanked him sincerely. He then said joyfully, "I've entered the peak sky realm. It's too marvelous." Chapter 520. Understand tacitly. Chapter 520. Understand tacitly. Before the God Blood fusion, Ba Si Tong had had only the Nirvana realm cultivation base. Using the God Blood Key, he had entered the third sky of Sky Realm directly from the Nirvana Realm. This amazing change had Shi Yin drop his jaw in awe. Peak Sky Realm? Shi Yin asked disbelievingly. Bathe was way too joyful. She was so excited that she didn't know how to behave, just screaming constantly. Wow, you are at the peak Sky Realm now? Is it that miraculous? Ba Siting laughed contentedly. Yes, it's true. This God Blood is so marvelous. Not only does it have the massive power, but also the power inheritance of our Ba family. But, at the moment, I can't comprehend it all. This means I can easily grow more to reach the spirit realm directly. Hearing him, even the 4 women of the Ice Emperor City put on a shocked countenance. Good. Very good. Shi Yin smiled. Ba Ji does have good fortune rocketing to the sky. It's been hard for you for many years. Now, you got it all back to you. From now on, your cultivating path will be pretty smooth. Seems you'll reach the spirit realm even earlier than me. Haha, Ba Ji, you're excellent. Ba Siting looked at him with appreciation. All thanks to you. If you didn't help me get the God Blood Key, my efforts would have been in vain. Meeting you in Ice Emperor City is the biggest fortunate event of my whole life. I will never forget your favor. Ba Siting vowed solemnly. If he were a woman, perhaps he would have paid Shi Yin with his body. We share the same origin. Your words are too polite. We should help each other in the future too. It's our ancestors' wishes. We should unite and support each other. Ba Siting and Ba Fei nodded continually. Shi Yin, this is your cold chalcedony drop. You can use it. Long Danqing hesitated for a while, then took out an ice crystal bottle from her storage ring, which contained a drop of an amber liquid with dense cold air moving around. After the bottle appeared, the temperature of the ice hall dropped down. A strange cold spiritual chi gushed out from that tiny bottle. Third sister, what are you? Bing Qing Tong was bewildered. The cold chalcedony's really precious. Can you just give it out like that? Lung Danqing nodded as frankly as she had never been. She walked to Shi Yin, throwing the bottle to him. For you? Shi Yin looked at her with surprise. Han Shui thought, then took out her cold chalcedony, walking towards Shi Yin. For you. You should have it. Ah, like I've said before, I need only 2 drops of the cold chalcedony. Shi Yin shook his head, his face odd. I used to think that the city master and precursor Shuang would give me. Well, turns out you guys did it. Haha, it's out of my imagination. Shuang. Precursor Shuang? Shuang Yuju's face chilled as she rolled her eyes. Why did you call me precursor? Do I look much older than them? Shi Yin shook his head embarrassedly. No. I respect you, so I called you precursor. I don't want your respect. Shuang Yuju's face was getting colder. Shi Yin beamed a forced smile. All right, I have no comments then. 2 drops of the cold chalcedony are enough. I'll keep my promise. I'm going to make you an ice chamber. Later, I'll be leaving the Ice Emperor City, and I will never come back. Shuang Yuju snorted. Bing Qing Tong, Lung Danqing, and Han Shui changed their faces. Especially Lung Danqing. She went ashen, while crying, You be *starred. You don't even consider that we've treated you well, do you? Oh, I think we don't have any complicated relationship, do we? Shi Yin was stunned. Lung Danqing was raging, rolling her eyes at him. I don't allow you to go. What do you have to control me? I have, Lung Danqing screamed, then snorted. I have nothing. But you are not going anywhere. If you want to go, I'll go with you. Unless you kill me, I'll follow you everywhere. She was playing hard. Shi Yin felt a headache coming. The situation he was afraid of the most had happened. After Long Danqing had joined soul with him, she had a better understanding of his characteristics. She knew he wasn't a heartless man, so she used this whining method to entangle him, not wanting to let him go. This rascal situation couldn't be solved with reasoning. Shi Yin had no way. This woman could be shameless, which troubled him much. You want to go with me? Don't be that unreasonable, please. We didn't have anything together. Just consider nothing has happened. Just let it go. Okay. Shi Yin smiled miserably. No. Obviously, Long Danqing didn't want to talk reason with him. She shook her head. I'm going with you. If you leave, I'll leave with you. If you are heartless, just kill me right now. She walked to Shi Yin, lifted her head up just like a goat waiting to be slaughtered, waiting for Shi Yin to take her life. Do you think that I don't dare to do that? Shi Yin's face filled with impatience, sneering. Kill me. You saved me, so if you kill me now, I won't blame you. Long Danqing lifted her head, arching her breasts which made them almost touch his chest. She harumphed. Do it. Do it. Dying in your hand. I have no regret. Come take my life. I won't blame you. She cried sweetly. Her orchid-fragranced breath and sweet aroma stormed into his nostrils. Her ample bosom was pressing on his body, caressing it gently as if she was doing it unconsciously. Shi Yin couldn't control himself, remembering the wonderful things on her body when her generous bosom was touching him. It was hard to take action. I don't care. Shi Yin harumphed, proactively stepping back to avoid the woman. Indignance filled him, but he couldn't do anything to vent it out. He then said with a cold face, Don't waste my time. Find an ice chamber, and I'll enhance the cold air inside for you guys. It should help accelerate your speed in cultivating the ice jade technique. Long Danqing eyed him while giggling. She knew she had defeated him, and her face looked contented. Shi Yin was distraught. He hadn't left yet, and just urged Bing Qingtong to be hurried. Bing Qingtong's beautiful eyes sparkled with interest while she was eyeing Shi Yin and Long Danqing, seeming to get what he was thinking. We aren't hurried. It's late today, so we should take a rest and start it tomorrow. Haha, Shi Yin, ask your friends to stay too. We are always bored here, as not many people come to visit us. No need to be so cautious. Why don't we do it now? Shi Yin was impatient. We're too tired today. Bing Qingtong were flirty, revealing her graceful curves. Her often cold and clear eyes were like they were washed with spring water, as she threw Shi Yin some look. Shi Yin was touched, and couldn't press down his arousal. Ba Sitong and his sister were bewildered, seeing Shi Yin and the other 4 snowflakes of the Ice Emperor City exchanging flirty looks. They all praised him secretly. Ba Sitong's eyes brightened, admiring Shi Yin. He thought that Shi Yin was way too strong. Although he didn't know what the young man had done to make the 4 beauties of the Ice Emperor City, who were always elegant and cold, follow him. Only the god of love could do such deeds. All right, tomorrow then. Shi Yin felt begrudging. He knew he shouldn't quarrel with women. Ba Ji, make yourself home. This place is spacious anyways. Haha, it's all right, all right. You don't need to worry about us. Ba Sitong winked at him. Bro, you have to take care of your body. Some things are really awesome, but if you do them too much, it will harm your body. Shi Yin felt awkward. He thought that this hefty man was a simple-hearted fella, but why did he start talking about such stuff? Hey, big man, what did you just say? Shuang Yuzhu shouted. She understood the meaning, and her face turned cold. Nothing. Nothing. Mwahahaha. Ba Sitong smiled embarrassedly. He constantly cried while retreating. Hey, we won't bother you. Little sister, let's go. Then, he chuckled, walking out of the place with a strange face. I'll go with you. Shi Yin darkened his face, attempting to walk out. Wait a minute. I have something to talk to you. Long Danqing smiled, her eyes sparkling. Her gait was the acme of beauty as she walked towards him. She didn't feel shy, clutching his arm. Go. I'll take you to the quiet and comfortable room. She was pulling and dragging him out of the ice hall, not caring whether he was willing or not. Han Shui's face was as cold as ice. Her eyes gazed at Shi Yin without blinking, then she snorted. Didn't she strongly oppose our connection with Shi Yin previously? Well, how about now? Isn't it enticing? Harumph. Acting. I did think that she was pure. Well, when the call is out, she's much faster than anyone else. Sister, your words seem to be a little sour, huh? Shuang Yuzhu ridiculed. Han Shui opened her mouth, speaking indignantly. Well, I think not long from now, our third sister will surpass us. You mean, she wants to use that method again? Shuang Yuzhu's face reddened. Of course, she will. What do you think? Han Shui spoke like she knew everything. She knows she can use that boy to increase her ice jade technique. She's experienced once, so she should know. I think Shi Yin can't rest tonight. If third sister really wants to do that, that little pervert can never resist her. Having heard her words, Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu became more embarrassed, their eyes getting more awkward. I'm not talking about you guys. If you can be like her, I think that boy can't resist us. To a man, what's stronger than beauty? Han Shui hesitated for a while and then continued with a lower voice. Well, I did peek in his heart. This guy is a real pervert. I think he faked his resistance. You guys should be more active, and he will surrender for sure. Perhaps he would stay in the Ice Emperor City forever. I can't be like third sister. Bing Qingtong's face is red, as if she was about to bleed. She shook her head continually, as she was a little bit shocked. Well, it's not necessary. You guys can appear at the critical moments and reveal your will. When he's high, how can he resist it? Men are always like that. I know what he thinks. Han Shui tried to manipulate her sisters. Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu blushed. They were hesitant, but later, they seemed to be moved. Just a little sacrifice to exchange for an unimaginable bright future. I think it's worth in any aspect. Moreover, he can help improve our ice jade technique. Han Shui's pretty eyes lit up. Under her convincing words, Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu considered, then nodded, slowly strolling into the room with great shyness. Oh, you guys. Shi Yin jolted up from Long Danqing's lower body that was like a flexible water snake. He was so ashamed on looking at Bing Qingtong and Shuang Yuzhu. You can't just favor one and ignore the others. Bing Qingtong pretended to be calm, but her neck was all pink. She didn't dare to look at the two people on the bed, walking gracefully while her snow-white robe cascaded down from her body. She tenderly came over, putting her naked rear end on the bed. Shi Yin looked at her with scorching eyes and couldn't help but gulp, his breathing short and heavy. Shuang Yuzhu hadn't undressed yet. When she got near them, she cocked her head and slowly pulled down her robe, revealing her generous, creamy bosom. Still, she didn't dare to look at him in the eye, whispering as if she could deceive people and even herself with her reason. That sensual vanish mind smoke hasn't been over yet. Yeah, still a little bit there. Bing Qingtong's face also reddened. She let out a slight sigh, talking as if she was dreaming. Shi Yin gawked for 3 seconds. He snorted, then pulled the two women down to the bed. The spring scenery became more beautiful. The second day, Shi Yin woke up leisurely, only feeling exhausted. The absurd images of last night flashed in his head. He sat up dully on the bed, and after a long white, he burst out a strange smile. The tender aroma was the hero's tomb. It was true indeed. Even his sturdy body couldn't endure the 3 beautiful women, who were like wolves and tigresses. Young Master Yin, you woke up. This is the food the city master and the 3 elders fixed for you. It's good for your body. You should have it while it's still hot. From a square table in the room, a fat girl with a freckled face and average appearance was talking to him. She eyed him curiously, then smiled at him. Shi Yin was astonished. He hesitated for a while, then put on his clothes. When he saw the food on the table, his face changed. Bull bone marrow, black bone chicken, venison, and tiger penis soup. Did they want to use him to death? Hee. Take your time and enjoy. These courses are cooked by our city master and the 3 elders. They spent lots of efforts. The maid didn't linger, regarded him, and then left. Looking at the table full of food which was good for his kidneys, Shi Yin felt both warm and scared, his face complicated. The sun rose. He swept through the whole table of food before walking out of the wing room. Stopping a maid and asking her for information, he knew that Bing Qingtong and the other 3 women weren't in the palace. She didn't know where they went, just told him to stay because they would come back shortly. Shi Yan's face darkened. He had a headache thinking that they were going out to collect something good for his male health. He couldn't stay for long in this Ice Emperor city, half a month at most. Otherwise, these women would drain him. These women, when they went crazy, they were unreasonable, and he couldn't talk them through. Recalling last night's scene when they were laying their hands on him like snatching food, he shivered in fear. Sure Yin, you woke up late, didn't you? Ba Siting appeared from nowhere, giggling and winking at him. How was last night? How was what? Sure Yin was bewildered. Haha, don't fool me. Ba Siting looked wretched as if he knew everything. He talked with a low voice. Last night when I was cultivating, I released my soul consciousness and found something. What did you find? Sure Yin tried to pretend. All right, I knew it. Haha, bro, you're dangerous. I admire your ability in that aspect. It's much stronger than your cultivation base. Later on, please teach me something. Even till now, I haven't experienced the taste of any women. Ba Siting sighed in regret. Go. What are you talking about? Ba Fei snorted. Well, it's just early morning and you are so stealthy. It should be about something bad. Kids shouldn't ask that much. Ba Siting shouted, then said solemnly. You asked me to find a sister-in-law for you, didn't you? Since when did you have that good thought? Ba Fei sneered. You've just gained a bit of strength, and you are having such thoughts? Later, when our Ba family becomes prosperous again, can we really count on you? Ba Siting was shamed, unable to answer his sister. Noon. A cold and strict voice came from outside the Ice Emperor City. Where's the Ice Emperor City's master? Ningdu Quan especially pays you a visit. This voice came from above the Ice Emperor City. All warriors inside the Ice Emperor City could hear it loud and clear. In the city master's palace, Shi Yin arched his brows as a vicious light flashed in his eyes. The head of the Ning family, Ba Siting, discolored. This man cultivates the seven-colored poison technique. He's a third sky of spirit realm warrior, a hotshot of the Heaven Temple, a top-class warrior. He's a famous warrior of the divine Great Land. Why has he come to the Ice Emperor City all of a sudden? It's because of me, Shi Yin said indifferently. Ba Siting cried in fear. Do you know him? Do you have any connection with him? I killed the Ning's members. He comes to the Ice Emperor City to take revenge, obviously. Ba Siting was bewildered. He hesitated for a while, then said through his gritted teeth, Your enemy is my enemy. Even if he has the third sky of spirit realm, I will fight side by side with you. Shi Yin was surprised. He smiled, then nodded his head. Ba Ji, you're a man with a disposition to do good. But you don't need to mind it this time. I have my way to counter it. No. Ba Siting shook his head. You are my person of rank. I have to go with you. Although the Nings are dangerous, I'm not afraid of them. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Sounds of people dashing in the wind arose. Not long after that, Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Lung Danqing returned, their faces solemn. I come without an invitation. Master Bing, please forgive me. Ning Du Quan's voice resounded again as he appeared above the city master palace. Chapter 522. Icebound Earth and Firmament. Chapter 522. Icebound Earth and Firmament. Bing Qing Tong and her sisters looked as if they were encountering their archenemy, looking at the general direction of the two arriving people, their faces stiff and solemn. Being the head of the Ning family, Ning Du Quan had always oppressed the Ice Emperor City until now. Over the years, the Ice Emperor City and the Ning family were close to each other and often competed on collecting cultivating materials. However, the Ning usually took the upper hand. Since Bing Qing Tong's level was lower than Ning Du Quan's, and the Ice Emperor City's overall competence was far behind the Ning family, they didn't dare to compete much with the Nings. Obviously, Ning Du Quan came here this time without any good intent. This made Bing Qing Tong worry. Ning Du Quan had the seven-colored poison technique. After he had sent his voice all over the city, he and Yu Li Ming slowly landed on the city master's palace. Shi Yin frowned, but he wasn't worried, just coldly looking at the master of the Ning family to see what the man would do to show his strength. Right after Yu Li Ming landed, his snake-like eyes gazed at Shi Yin while grinning. Kid, let's see how long you can be that arrogant. Oh, You haven't died yet, have you? Shi Yin smiled, ridiculed. Well, last time you ran away like a stray dog. I really think you don't know how to write the word death. Are you coming here this time to learn that word? Haha, it's good though. Let's see where you can run this time. Yuli Ming's face was dark and gloomy. He grinned fiendishly and didn't continue the conversation with Shi Yin. He turned to Ning Du Quan and said, Ningyi, you've seen the kid now. Ning Qi Shan died in his hands. I think Ning Zhe was also killed by this brat. Well, I assume Ning Ji wouldn't let him live until tomorrow, eh? Ning Du Quan nodded indifferently. He turned to Bing Qing Tong and said, City Master Bing, I'm here not to provoke the fight between the Fighting Union and the Heaven Temple. I came here for Shi Yin. As long as you're not involved, I can assure that the Ice Emperor City and our Ning family won't be enemies. What do you think? Bing Qing Tong's visage was cold as she snorted. Master Ning, until now, our Ice Emperor City and your Ning family were like river water and well water. We never interfered with each other's business. You've assigned that old freak you to deal with our Ice Emperor City, which has violated our relationship already. Today, you want to raise trouble in the Ice Emperor City. Tell me, isn't it a war declaration? Yuli Ming's business and our Ning family aren't related. Ning Du Quan frowned. Master Bing, you mean that you want to protect that kid? True, nodded Bing Qing Tong. Master Bing, my advice is that you shouldn't poke your nose in it. Your Ice Emperor City's rated lowest among the 7 cities of the Fighting Union. Throughout years, our Ning family hasn't troubled your Ice Emperor City because we think that you're just a bunch of women. We give you face, but you seem like you don't need it. Ning Du Quan's eyes and his sinister face showed that the man was losing his patience. Give us face? Bing Qing Tong sneered, shaking her head. I have never seen face here. Where is it? In these recent years, many rare cultivating materials in the big rivers or grand mountains around us were all collected by your Ning family. Whenever we had business with other warriors, you always interfered, sending them out of the place. Do you call it giving us face? At least, I don't allow my members to kill them. Ning Du Quan squinted. Cold light bloomed, as he was about to use up his patience. Not killing them means you have regards for us? Bing Qing Tong's countenance chilled. So, you are swaggering in my city, and I ask you to leave now. Is that not giving you face, the headmaster of the Nings? Ning Ji, why do you need to be wordy with this woman? Yuli Ming's fingers hiding in his sleeves spurted out poisonous smoke. An aura that made people dizzy slowly diffused from his body. He had taken action without anyone noticing him. You want to protect this kid? Ning Du Quan's face was cold. Give me a reason. Bing Qing Tong stared at him blankly, then burst out laughing. Her beautiful eyes lingered on Shi Yin as she spoke shyly. He's the man we've chosen. Of course, we want to be together with him. Isn't it a good reason? Your man? You all? Ning Du Quan was surprised. His dark pupils raked through Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Long Danqing, and then confirmed again, all of you. Under his scrutinizing look, Shuang Yuzhu and Long Danqing nodded slowly. Han Shui hesitated, but eventually gave a slight nod with a blushed face. Her countenance was strange too. Cheese. Flame burning inside Yuli Ming just like someone had slapped him in the face. He said through gritted teeth, seems like the vanish mind smoke this old man released had benefited that brat. You 4SL*TS. I'll let you beg to be killed rather than live. Listen, today, Yuli Ming will make you regret that you were born into this world. Old dog you, are you saying that you would make my women want to die rather than live? Shi Yin grinned with his cold face. With only you? A loser that only knows how to use smoke? You couldn't leave even a scratch on my puppet, but now you dare to spout such delirious utterances? Hearing him, Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Danqing blushed as they felt sweet and excited inside. Finally, Shi Yin acknowledged their status in front of other people. The women felt something sweet in their hearts. Kid, besides the external forces you borrowed, what else do you have? Yuli Ming thundered, but he didn't dare to take action first. He threw a murderous look at Shi Yin as his heart filled with rage. He clenched his jaw and shouted, "You can be complacent for now, kid. Let's see how long you can maintain that status. I will make you watch me F***ck those 4B** cheese. City Master Bing, I ask you once again, do you still want to protect this kid? Ningdu Quan took a deep breath and asked straightforwardly, as he didn't want to waste more time. I said it before. He's our man. We won't just stand and stare, Bing Qing Tong affirmed. Shuang Yuzhu, Long Danqing, and Han Shui nodded. Good. You're seeking for death. Don't blame me for being merciless. Ningdu Quan faced up the sky and roared. His scream tore the wind and pierced through the blue sky. 7-colored light of the rainbow radiated from him, just like a long meteor sweeping through the sky over the city master's palace. The rainbow-like light oozed out, bringing with it the extremely poisonous and violent, shaking energy. Each beam of the 7-colored light bombarded on the ice rock of the palace, pierced through the wall and soared away. The ice wall couldn't resist the piercing light at all. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Ice buildings collapsed under the 7-colored attacking light, as thick ice blocks caved in. The city master's palace became a big mess. Loud, deafening explosion echoed everywhere. You dare destroy my palace? You're my archenemy now. Bing Qing Tong's face chilled. All of a sudden, she muttered, Icebound earth and firmament. When Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Long Danqing heard her, their faces got excited as they urged their ice jade technique. People then saw an extreme icy cold, shaking energy soar up from the 4 women. This formidable energy meandered around the palace like a long snake. The walls surrounding the city master palace hid cold energy, which was all released at this moment. The temperature plunged down rapidly to an extreme degree. Also, the collapsed walls became more rigid under the cold air. Many shaking buildings that were about to collapse now seemed to have the energy to support their structures, standing firm like a stone again. Gusts of extremely cold air shot out from the 4 women, running chaotically inside the palace. The whole place started to freeze with thick ice. Under this kind of cold chi, even the air seemed to stagnate. Snow appeared, fluttering around, while sharp ice beams started to form. Not long after that, numerous ice blocks gathered, forming a giant rock hovering above the palace, blocking the whole place. Crack, crack, crack. Sounds of freezing reverberated from all corners of the city master palace. Every bit of properties, each piece of grass, flower, or even rock inside the palace was frozen. Massive ice rocks started to fly up to the sky under the effect of some kind of power. They turned into sharp weapons, maliciously darting towards Ningdu Quan. The freezing energy expanded even more, and within several seconds, the whole palace became a sealed, giant ice crystal. Looking at it from outside, the city master palace had disappeared, turning into a grand ice mountain. Extremely cold chi expanded from it, raising people's goosebumps and even making people feel cold from the bottom of their hearts. The Icebound earth and firmament was a secret technique that needed 4 spirit realm warriors to join hands and perform it. However, it needed an ice-cold place to be cast out successfully. Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Long Danqing didn't get along well. They often competed fiercely, so they had never joined hands to perform the ice jade technique. That's why people had never seen this marvelous Icebound earth and firmament technique. Today, since everything was related to Shi Yin, the 4 women of the Ice Emperor City had united to show off the Icebound earth and firmament. It covered the entire palace instantly, freezing it. Under the coverage of so many beams of the icy energy, the temperature dropped down rapidly. The cold chi on their bodies became heavier as their faces got colder with time. Cold energy exuded from their bodies and accelerated to the acme, which frightened people. I didn't expect that you have such a secret technique. No wonder why you weren't afraid. Ningdu Quan changed his face. Seems this Icebound earth and firmament technique is the most dangerous strike you have. No wonder why so many people have had dark thoughts towards your city, but none of them succeeded. Turns out you have the Icebound earth and firmament. Master Ning, we don't want to be on the opposite side to you. If you leave now, we won't bear any grudges. Bing Qing Tong's face became stiff and solemn. The Fighting Union and the Heaven Temple have nothing related to this. We don't want this to accelerate to a war between the two. If you leave now, we'll consider nothing had happened. Wow, City Master Bing's kind, indeed. Ningdu Quan cracked a cold smile. What a pity that I'm the kind of person who will take revenge for the slightest grievance. This time I come here, I won't go back without the head of that brat, and I won't stop until I get it. Master Ning has such confidence? Bing Qing Tong felt something wrong here. Although your Icebound Earth and Firmament joint technique is intimidating, you've been poisoned. Let's see how long you guys can endure. Ningdu Quan was arrogant. When my 7-colored poisonous techniques cast out, its toxin can poison any creatures in the surrounding 100 li. Your Icebound Earth and Firmament has blocked the entire palace, which makes all the poison gather inside the place. I'm afraid you guys would be affected more severely. The 4 of Bing Qing Tong's group discolored. Chapter 523, 7-Colored Poison Technique. Chapter 523, 7-Colored Poison Technique. Ningdu Quan finished, after which all people in the City Master Palace had their expressions changed in terror. Ah! Miserable, pitiful cries echoed from everywhere in the palace. People then saw many housemaids of the City Master Palace being decomposed with a speed that naked eyes could observe, turning into puddles of blood. Most of the housemaids in the palace had low cultivation bases. They were only at the Earth Realm or the Disaster Realm. Warriors at this level had nothing to resist the 7-colored poison technique from a 3rd sky of Spirit Realm warrior. They died because of the poison got into their bones and marrow. They didn't have the time to bring out any responses. Soon, all the maids in the palace were killed. None of them were lucky enough to escape death. All of them now were blood puddles, a tragic death indeed. Bing Qing Tong was extremely sorrowful. She shouted in rage, Ningdu Quan, you won't have a decent death. You didn't spare even the housemaids with your 7-colored poison technique. You do want to start the war between the Fighting Union and the Heaven Temple. I want to make the people in the Ice Emperor City vanish. The Ice Emperor City will be a dead city. Ningdu Quan smiled coldly and then continued talking. If it weren't because of the Icebound Earth and Firmament you released, the entire Ice Emperor City would have been like this palace. Under the 7-colored poison technique, no one can survive in the surrounding within 100 li, not even an insect underground. This moment onwards, our Ice Emperor City and your Ning family can't coexist. Bing Qing Tong's face reddened, talking through her gritted teeth. Shuang, Han Shui, and Lung Danqing had the same grudge. Their faces were emotional and indignant, as if they wanted to risk their life with Ningdu Quan. Can't coexist, Ningdu Quan sneered. I've advised you a lot of times, but you were so stubborn. Those maids died because of you. When I'm taking action, I'm merciless. Today, I will erase your Ice Emperor City from the list of the 7 cities of the Fighting Union. You are so ruthless. Bing Qing Tong panted, her face changing dramatically. All of a sudden, she sat down at her spot. Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, and Lung Danqing also knew that it was a dangerous situation. They didn't think much, sitting cross-legged, urging their Ice Jade technique to the limit. Countless icicles appeared in the City Master Palace, tearing the wind and stabbing towards Ningdu Quan like rows of sharp swords. Tens of thousands of sharp icicles were as dense as a cloud of grasshoppers. They were sharp and many as if they were packing the whole place, aiming at Ningdu Quan. Each icicle kept the extremely cold chi that could break everything. The 4 Spirit Realm warriors were condensing the cold chi in their Icebound Earth and Firmament, which created an attack power that even Ningdu Quan didn't dare to underestimate. He had to prepare himself well to counter the attack. Halos of 7-colored light shot out from his body, creating a 7-colored membrane covering him like armor. Inside that thin membrane was the frightening evil energy. When the sharp icicles shot forward, the 7-colored light smashed them down. Ningdu Quan's face was ruthless as he spoke with a cold voice. Just release all of your power. I want to see how long you can endure. As you're poisoned by my 7-colored poisonous technique, you need to resist the toxin in your bodies at the same time. You will have to consume your energy faster. Well, you'll die soon. If you want to die earlier, just use all of your strength. I'm waiting to see how long you can resist. Yuli Ming laughed oddly. Ningji, your seven-colored poisonous technique is awesome. It seems the Ning family is rightly ranked the first in Heaven Temple, and its fame is true, indeed. Ning Du Quan was contented. At this moment, Ba Fei's face turned seven-colored. Her legs were soft, and she couldn't stand firm. She trembled and then collapsed. She had only the Nirvana realm cultivation base. In this place, her realm was the lowest. After the seven-colored poison got into her body, she appeared to not be able to withstand for long. Goo, I. Ba Fei's face was seven-colored. Her voice faded down, looking at Ba Si Tong with frightened eyes. Ba Si Tong was like an enraged beast. He suddenly became strong and wild, shouting, Ning Du Quan, give me the antidote, or else I'll destroy the whole Ning family. Ning Du Quan was surprised, throwing him a strange glance, then shook his head. A kid with only sky realm but dares to talk arrogantly to me? Well, you don't know how high is the sky, do you? Kid, in a very short moment, you will turn into blood. Are you going to haunt my Ning family after you die? He completely looked down on Ba Si Tong, just gave him a glance and then turned around. I'm going to risk my life with you. Ba Si Tong roared, as a dazzling gold light shot out from his body. An arbitrary, ominous power burst out like a volcano eruption, expanding vehemently. At this moment, Ba Si Tong looked like a gold sun, carrying the aggressive supernatural power with him, soaring to the sky towards Ning Du Quan. In the middle of the air, Ba Si Tong was now a golden man with the fierce, crazy aura. Ning Du Quan discolored. He concentrated and then said with surprise, Oh, this kid has such powers. Not bad. Seems you can borrow external forces too. Ning Du Quan smashed his left hand into the void. A seven-colored poisonous python appeared in the air, bearing its fangs at Ba Si Tong. The giant serpent sprayed out seven-colored smoke, covering Ba Si Tong. The toxic smoke was mysterious, as it turned into a seven-colored membrane enveloping Ba Si Tong. Ning Du Quan disdained, curled his lips and said with a cold voice, Just a boorish fella. You have extraordinary strength, but you don't know how to utilize it. Shi Yin stood indifferently, just watched the event happening in the City Master Palace. He seemed not wanting to take action. However, whether it was Ning Du Quan or Yuli Ming, even when they were talking to the others, they all kept an eye on him cautiously. Before they came here, Ning Du Quan knew about Shi Yin from Yuli Ming's words. He knew that Shi Yin was the most dangerous person here. Not only he had the War Devil, which was as strong as a third sky of Spirit Realm warrior, but also some high-levels beasts. Thus, the two of them still preserved their powers to battle with the young man. Shi Yin frowned, looking at the chaotic situation of the palace and Ba Fei crouching on the ground. He thought, then walked toward Ba Fei. He kept silent because he wanted to check if the four women of Bing Qingtong's group and Ba Si Tong were worth forming a relationship with. As an old saying said, true hearts were revealed in adversity. If it weren't the worst situation, it would be hard to realize someone's real conduct. No matter what good words Bing Qingtong and Ba Si Tong told him before, at the critical moment, if they decided to save their lives first, Shi Yin wouldn't feel strange. He just wanted to see if Bing Qingtong's group and Ba Si Tong were as good as he thought through this difficult time. The fact showed him that they didn't fail his expectation. He felt warm inside. He had what he wanted, and now it was time to take action. Shi Yin reached Ba Fei, mused for a while, then put his palm on her shoulder. In just a blink, the acme cold of the ice-cold flame was absorbed into Ba Fei's body. Shortly, Ba Fei turned into an ice sculpture. The cold energy that moved inside her body had frozen her. Even the toxin, Shi Yin carefully sensed to see Ba Fei's living fluctuation had been frozen temporarily by the ice-cold flame. He then nodded, grinned as he turned to the Ning Master. Ning Zhe died at my hands, and so did Ning Qishan. Your Nings will die one after another in the same way. Oh yeah, including you, the head of the Ning family. Ning Du Quan sneered, Kiddo, are you just babbling? Boom. An explosion echoed from Ba Si Tong. From his body, which was enveloped by the seven-colored membrane, A robust energy burst out, tearing the membrane into pieces. The ruthless, evil aura shot out from Ba Si-tung. At this moment, he looked like a gold demogorgon, giving people a feeling of a tyrannical, wild warrior to the extreme. Shi Yan's face changed, while his eyes shone radiantly. Ba Si-tung had urged the god blood in his body to obtain the power of a second sky of spirit realm warrior, even though his actual realm was just the peak of sky realm. The god blood of the Ba family was really intimidating. The violent, robust energy that burst out from him had cracked his body, but not a drop of the gold blood dripped out. Ning Du Quan's pupils shrank. He was astounded on looking at Ba Si-tung. His face stiffened, shouting, "Second sky of spirit realm. Kid, did you swallow the god blood?" Ba Si-tung was like a provoked, enraged wild beast. Murderous aura shot out from his pupils. Resentment almost cracked his eyes as he howled, "I want you to die." He stormed over. Shi Yan was surprised. He grinned, stroking the blood vein ring and letting out a slight shout, "Get out!" War Devil flew out first, turning into a black electric current and shooting towards Ning Du Quan. 1 second later, the Ghost Hunter, the king of demonic insects, and the devouring gold silkworm also stormed out from the blood vein ring, aiming at Yu Li Ming. "Kill!" Shi Yan snorted. He took a deep breath, then urged the negative power in his body. Instantly, he entered the rampage realm. His eyes became red like blood. Feeling the negative energy rolling torrentially in his body, Shi Yan didn't call the earth flame or the Holy Spirit God, but summoned the giant mysterious sword. In the second sky of Rampage Realm, with his Sky Realm cultivation base, he could boost his power to the level that only the Spirit Realm warriors could reach. The giant mysterious sword answered him immediately. Seconds later, the sword flew out of the blood vein ring, falling into his firm grip. The negative energy in his meridians was gushing rapidly into the giant mysterious sword, while a death-intent domain was boiling in his heart. The bizarre eyes on the sword opened one by one, until 1/3 of them had opened. Without the combined power of the ice-cold flame, the Holy Spirit God, and the earth flame, he could finally activate the giant mysterious sword after he had broken through the new realm. Chapter 524, Desperate. Chapter 524, Desperate. The 7-colored poisonous technique had generated the poison that covered the whole city master palace, affecting all people present there, and Shi Yan was no exception. However, after the mutation of his petrification marital spirit, his body was full of strange abilities. Also, his immortal martial spirit was marvelous, as it could clean all the intruding poison in just a blink of an eye. Thus, although the poison had absorbed into his body, it didn't affect him. He didn't need to worry that his body would be decomposed in minutes. There was another man who wasn't affected by the poison, Ba Si-tung. As he had the god blood flowing in his body, after the poison got into his veins, the power of the god blood evaporated it all. Ba Si-tung's case was even better than Shi Yan's. He didn't even feel the effects of the poison in his body. On the contrary, although Bing Qing Tong and the other 3 women had higher realms, without the strange powers like what Shi Yan and Ba Si-tung had, they were all poisoned. As they were using the Icebound earth and firmament, they also had to resist the poison in their bodies, which prevented them from performing the maximum Icebound earth and firmament. You shouldn't urge your powers now. Just protect yourself well. Leave the other things to me. Shi Yan held the giant sword in his hand, grinned and asked the 4 women to retrieve their ice jade technique and focus on resisting the poison. Ghost Hunter, the king of demonic insects, and the devouring gold silkworm were dashing towards Yu Li Ming. The giant body of the Ghost Hunter had transformed to the spiky humanoid form in midair. His sharp claw held the demonic bell, striking towards Yu Li Ming from afar. Ripples expanded from the demonic bell as heavy as a mountain, and suddenly fell on Yu Li Ming. From ahead of them, Yu Li Ming felt the mountain-like heavy pressure put on him, making him sluggish. Swoosh! The giant sword slashed the air, tearing apart the palace. A massive column of red arc light around dozens of meters long reached towards Yu Li Ming. Crack, crack, crack. Wherever the arc light reached, Ice rocks by the icebound earth and firmament cracked, scattering everywhere. It was maliciously sharp and pierced through everything, breaking all the obstacles on its way. In just a flash, it reached Yuli Ming. Several days ago, Yuli Ming had been wounded, and now, he had to fend strenuously against the red arc light from the sword, which made his face grimace. "Hey, old dog, you only know how to dodge it, eh?" Shi Yin faced the sky, laughing out loud. The giant mysterious sword in his hand made him look like a demogorgon. The massive sword slashed, shooting out long blood beams. A bunch of blood dragons stormed out, gazing at Yuli Ming. Ghost Hunter roared. A demonic chi soared up in the sky, pouring into the demonic bell and making it rumble in the wind. Demonic light rippled, rushing towards him layer by layer. The king of demonic insects cried as well. A strange energy struck Yuli Ming's soul, making it shake violently. This paused his urging energy for a while, keeping him from releasing his entire earth-shaking powers as a third sky of spirit realm warrior. Gray, black, and deep green-colored poison clouds exuded from Yuli Ming, aiming for Shi Yin. Not only did those clouds bring the bane, but also the power he had condensed. Ordinary warriors had no choice but to avoid it. It's your bad luck, old fellow. Your poisonous technique is ineffective against me. I'm your nemesis." Shi Yin grinned fiendishly. A cluster of scorching flame emerged in his palm, shooting towards those clouds of poison, burning them into ashes. Heaven flame. Yuli Ming's countenance changed dramatically. He cried in fear while dodging the blood light that was like a strong, flexible ribbon. "Come here. Just try all the poison you have. I'll help you burn it all down." Shi Yin curled his lips. The giant sword in his hand slashed through the void again, and a blood lightning struck out, shooting towards Yuli Ming. Yuli Ming continued avoiding it. His face became more grimaced, as he couldn't even curse. Bing Qing Tong and the other women had their beautiful eyes blink with splendor, looking at him with shocked complexion on their faces. At this moment, they felt at ease. They stopped urging their ice jade technique and focused on trying to withstand the bane of the seven-colored poisonous technique. As they all had the spirit realm cultivation base and were putting forth everything to resist the poison, they could oppress it immediately. This seven-colored poison technique had been covering a large area. Thus, the amount that got into their bodies wasn't much, so the effect was limited. Under their restraint, the poison was confined in the corners of their bodies, waiting for the good time to be cleaned. Ning Du Quan had mastered the poisonous techniques, which meant the seven-colored poison technique was just one of them. If he released more poison, Bing Qing Tong and the others wouldn't be able to endure soon. However, Ning Du Quan was fiercely attacking Ba Si Tong with the interference of the War Devil. As these two had joined hands and attacked him, Ning Du Quan found it a bit strenuous. In fact, he and Yuli Ming were the same. They used poisons and understood them well. In typical situations, the warriors who got poisoned would struggle hard, and not long after that, they would be harmed badly when the poison seeped into the entire bodies, leading to a fatal consequence. However, Ba Si Ting and the War Devil were immune to poisons. His poisons couldn't work on them, and he could only use his real strength to counter them. When cultivating poisonous techniques, they had to spin their profound chi to condense the poisons. This meant their powers weren't as strong as the other warriors. Thus, his actual competence was less than a real third sky of spirit realm warrior. Using only the power to encounter the enemies wasn't his forte. Fighting with Ba Si Ting and the War Devil in his disadvantaged state, he was reluctant but had no way to change it. So, just like Yuli Ming, he fell into the same embarrassing situation. Before they came here, he had planned that he would battle the War Devil and the beasts, so that Yuli Ming could kill Shi Yin instantly. He had thought that Shi Yin was just a Sky Realm warrior. Even if he had many external forces to support him, when they were restrained, Yuli Ming could kill him quickly. As long as Shi Yin died, the puppet and the beasts would lose their master, and thus, they wouldn't crazily chase after him anymore. At that time, he could claim his triumph at ease. Moreover, perhaps he could tame these beasts and the fighting puppet, which would boost his competence to a new height. He had his calculation and dark deeds planned, but he had underestimated Shi Yin. Furthermore, this Ba-Si-Ting appeared from nowhere. All in all, this changed situation dragged him into a difficult position. Well, the third sky of spirit realm warriors are just mediocre. Shi Yan's words were cold and full of disdain. Honestly, you should have cultivated your powers more, and you would be good one day. What a pity that it's too late. The powers of Ning Du Quan and Yu Li Ming in his eyes were indeed weaker than Nu Lang's, Qi Yan's, and Bo Sun's. They were all the third sky of spirit realm warriors, but these two were much weaker than the other three. At least, when Qi Yan and Bo Sun fought with the War Devil, they didn't fall into adverse circumstances. Under his taunting ridicule, Ning Du Quan and Yu Li Ming couldn't hold their rage. But they didn't have any extra power to vent it out, and their faces just turned fiercer. You are dying. Don't you regret it? Are you desperate now? Shi Yin provoked them unceasingly with his words to taunt their spirit and minds. At the same time, the giant mysterious sword in his hand didn't stop swinging. Blood arc light that could destroy all creatures shot out, besieging Yu Li Ming, making him more strained. Oh! The ghost hunter screamed, then released the demonic bell. The demonic chi in the bell burst out torrentially, covering the whole sky while expanding furiously towards Yu Li Ming. Under layers of demonic light pressing down, Yu Li Ming's body flexed while he wanted to gather the power once again. However, the king of demonic insects' soul attack had reached him, so he was left bewildered in midair. The blood ribbon light came over, having Yu Li Ming right from his waist, while blood splashed everywhere. Right at that moment, Shi Yin sat down cross-legged, sneered, and then released his host's soul. After Yu Li Ming's body was destroyed, his soul soon got rid of the body, attempting to flee away as fast as possible. Shi Yan's host's soul was waiting for him. At the instant the soul appeared, Shi Yan's host's soul opened its third eye. A bizarre cluster of fiery flame flew out from the eyes, besieging Yu Li Ming's soul. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame soon burned down Yu Li Ming's soul. It happened as fast as a flash, and his remnant in this world had been completely erased. A surging essence chi from his body gushed out like water, entering Shi Yan's acupuncture points. Shi Yin was dazed, hurriedly bringing his host's soul back to the body. Moreover, facing the torrential energy from Yu Li Ming's dead body, Shi Yan's face changed for the first time. The essence chi of a third sky of spirit realm warrior, he didn't dare to underestimate how tremendous it was. He was only at the sky realm. Once he absorbed this amount of energy, he didn't know what would happen. Perhaps his meridians and acupuncture points would explode directly. The releasing speed of the dead man's essence chi was beyond his imagination. When his host's soul got back, he sent orders to the ghost hunter, the king of demonic insects, at the devouring gold silkworm to guard over him. At that moment, his meridians had been swelling immensely. The pain was beyond his control and endurance, causing his face to be twisted. He wanted to leave, but he knew it was too late. Strands of essence chi overflew, entering his body through his acupuncture points and shaking him entirely. He could barely join the battle again. He sat blankly on the ground, his face twisted, hyperventilating like he was in the bewilderment state. He was unaware of the current situation in the surroundings. Break! Ning Du Quan suddenly shouted ear-splittingly. Blood sprayed out from his mouth. He punched the ice rock covering the sky, then turned into a bunch of light, fleeing away from the Ice Emperor City towards the general direction of the Ning family. He fled. When Yu Li Ming died, he knew this business failed. Without any hesitation, he decided to escape the Ice Emperor City as quick as possible, not daring to linger at all. He didn't even have time to glare at Shi Yan's bad situation, so he didn't know that Shi Yan was in an extreme danger at the moment. Chapter 525, Self-reliance. Chapter 525, Self-reliance. Ning Du Quan had escaped in panic, and the city master palace reappeared quietly. Shi Yan sat neatly on the ground, his face twisted, his breathing short and heavy. He was shivering badly as the power in his body started to suppress the energy in his acupuncture points. Although Ba Si-tung had used the supernatural power of the godblood to achieve the strength of a second sky of spirit realm warrior, he couldn't chase after Ning Du Quan and just stared at the direction the man had escaped in without a solution. He was more concerned about Ba Fei. After Ning Du Quan had left, Ba Si-tung restored his consciousness, coming to check his sister. Ba Si-tung descended from the sky and checked Ba Fei's breathing. When he recognized the girl was frozen, he felt at ease because he knew Shi Yin had helped them. The four women of Bing Qing Tong's group exhaled in relief when they found that Ning Du Quan had fled away. Then, they stood up and walked towards Shi Yin. What happened to him? Han Shui glared at him then shouted, "His situation's bad. Looks like he's in the bedevilment state. What should we do?" Bing Qing Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Danqing were worried. They wanted to walk over there and check him thoroughly. However, when they just took a step, the ghost hunter, the war devil, and the king of demonic insects all showed their ferocious looks. A malicious aura diffused from the ghost hunter, the war devil, and the devouring gold silkworm, as a warning given to the four women. As the women had seen these monsters' abilities and saw their hostility, they felt worried but couldn't do anything. They could only stand far away from them and observe to avoid unwanted, crazy attacks from the ghost hunter or the war devil. I don't know what happened to him, but he seems to be facing a big trouble. Bing Qing Tong was anxious and flustered. Ba Si-tung, you know him. Can you tell what's happened to him? Ba Si-tung had known Shi Yin before them. Ba Si-tung forced a smile. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I haven't known him for a long time. I know nothing about his state. Otherwise, I would help him now. At this moment, I have no way. Have heard him say so, Bing Qing Tong and the other felt more nervous, not knowing what they should do. At this moment, 3 flows of vigorous aura suddenly came from above the Ice Emperor city. They were flying at a fast speed, getting closer to the palace. Bing Qing Tong's face changed as she became tense, shouting, "Strong hotshots are coming." Shuang Yuzhu, Han Shui, Long Danqing, and Ba Si-tung looked up at the sky and quietly gathered their power, ready to counter the opponents at any minute. Shi Yin wasn't in his good condition, so the ghost hunter, the war devil, and the king of demonic insects had to guard over him. If someone came here with a dark scheme, it would be hard for them to resist. Bing Qing Tong was anxious. Dazzling light zoomed over like a big meteor, falling to the Ice Emperor city with a fast speed, then landing in the city master palace. Bai Gusin, Bai Di and Bai Si. Bing Qing Tong couldn't press down her surprise. She said with a solemn face, "You guys, may I know why have you visited the Ice Emperor city?" Descending to the palace from the sky were Bai Gusan of the Aok family and Bai Si and Bai Di of the Banner family. Besides, Kai Yi, Lao Li, and Lao Luan had also arrived. Kai Yi, Lao Li, and Lao Luan came right to Shi Yin and called him after they had landed. "Shi Yin, you've come to the divine great land. You be *starred. You didn't visit our White Emperor city first." Kai Yi smiled charmingly, her sleeves fluttering while her eyes sparkling. "Shi Yin bro, haha, we meet again. It's terrific. I thought we need to wait 18 years to see you here. I didn't expect that it would be this soon." Lao Li laughed, his face excited. "Now that you've come to the divine great land, we have to treat you really, really well." "Oh, who are you?" As they were coming near, the war devil shot out a destructive aura. Kai Yi, Lao Li, and Lao Luan discolored. After a while, Bai Gu Sun, Bai Di, and Bai Si came. Their faces were solemn when they stood in front of Kai Yi and brothers Lao Li, Lao Luan, preventing them from going further. Bai Gu San, Bai Di, and Bai Si all had an exquisite cultivation base, so they could see that Shi Yin wasn't in the right state. The aura of the war devil was hostile. They had to worry for their descendants, so they had to shield them from the unwanted attack. "You guys." Bing Qing Tong was surprised, looking at them. "You came to our Ice Emperor city for Shi Yin?" Bai Gu Sun, Bai Si, and Bai Di nodded, smiling at her. Bai Di explained, "Shi Yin saved Lao Li and Lao Luan in the dark magnetic noxious mist. I know he seemed to have a grudge against the Nings, so I was worried about him and came here to check it. What happened? The palace was freezing, and there were many collapsed ice buildings. It seemed like there had been a big fight here recently. Oh, you came to support him? Bing Ching Tong sighed, then smiled. Ning Du Quan just left. If you had arrived earlier, Ning Du Quan would have died by now. Bai Gu Sun released a light sigh, his look strange. He was hesitant for a while, then asked, Master Bing, you guys have expelled Ning Du Quan out of the Ice Emperor City? We never thought that the Ice Emperor City could be that strong. Seems we have underestimated Master Bing's ability. Not me. Bing Ching Tong shook her head. Her soft, white hand pointed at Shi Yin as she spoke up tenderly. Without him, I'm afraid the Ice Emperor City would have been erased. The surprise in Bai Gu Sin's eyes grew. Light flashed in his eyes. You are saying that all because of Shi Yin? Yes, nodded Bing Ching Tong. This also shocked Bai Di. He was astounded, shaking his head. The next wave pushes away the previous one on the long river. I didn't expect that this kid could be that brilliant. Haha, we have moved unnecessarily. Ning Du Quan's a top hotshot in the Heaven Temple. Your Ice Emperor City hasn't suffered a great loss this time, which surprises people a lot. Deji, I've told you, this kid has many strange and mysterious deeds. Normal kids would never be as excellent as he is. Do you believe me now? Basie smiled. Beatty nodded. I do now. Thanks for coming. Although it's temporarily solved, I still have to thank you. Bing Ching Tong hesitated for a while, and then thanked the others. Bai Gu Sun was a bit embarrassed. He waved his hand and smiled. Master Bing's just polite. We come to the Ice Emperor City for Shi Yin. Well, it's not because the General Union had sent us the information, so? Bing Ching Tong was a smart woman. She got the idea in his talk right away, but still, she said, it's the same. I would like to say thanks on behalf of Shi Yin, too. Bai Gu Sun, Bai Di, and Bai Di were stunned, their faces odd. What did she mean? What was the relationship between Shi Yin and her? They had come here for Shi Yin, not for her Ice Emperor City. What did she depend on to say thanks on behalf of him? Bai Gu San and the other two were bewildered. Bing Ching Tong just beamed a faint smile, but she didn't explain anything. All of a sudden, her black brows slammed together as she asked with great concern, Can you take a look at Shi Yin now to see if he meets anything dangerous? He killed Yu Li Ming, burned down his soul, and then he turned like that. We're worried about him. Kill. He killed Yu Li Ming? The old freak you? Bai Gu San was scared, unable to believe his ears. He asked to confirm again. The third sky of spirit realm Yu Li Ming? Him? Bing Ching Tong nodded. Bai Gu San contemplated. Divine light radiated from his eyes as he gazed at Shi Yin for a long while. Bai Di and Bai Si dropped their jaws with a frightened face, looking at him disbelievingly. Wow, Shi Yin, our old bro has been that intimidating? Lao Li couldn't hide his groan. He was like he got struck by lightning. His face thrilled. This is awesome. So terrific, right? I know he's extraordinary. When we were in the dark magnetic noxious mist, he used his Nirvana realm cultivation base to kill the Sky Realm warriors. And now he could kill a third sky of spirit realm warrior. This is so scary, right? Bing Ching Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Dan Qing looked at the expression in their eyes, and an unknown pride rose in their hearts. He was the man they had chosen. He should be that extraordinary. The three women thought and felt proud. It was natural. As long as it was what Shi Yin did, it should be normal for it to even go beyond their imagination. Is he poisoned? Bai Gu San was shocked. He gathered himself together, frowned, and then asked, Ning Du Quan are good at using poisonous techniques. Yu Li Ming's the same. Those two have a deep understanding of using banes. During the fight, they can poison the enemies without letting them recognize it. So, is it the poison in Shi Yan's body bursting out? People's eye lit up when they heard him say that. They all agreed with this assumption. If he's poisoned, what should we do? Lao Li scratched his head. Shi Yinji has many ferocious beasts watching him now. Even if we want to help him, I'm afraid we can't do anything. Moreover, Yuli Ming and Ning Du Quan are the hotshots specializing in using poisons. The poisons they use wouldn't be easy to treat. It's true. Bai Gu Sun mused. I have an immaculate panacea pellet here. I heard that it can treat all kinds of poison. We can try, but I need to approach him. Is it the immaculate panacea refined by Spirit Treasure Sect? Bing Ching Tong's beautiful eyes brightened. It's the sacred level pellet refined by the Spirit Treasure Sect, the immaculate panacea. Bai Gu Sun beamed a faint smile. Our Kai owed him a favor. Although this immaculate panacea is precious, I'm willing to give it to this kid, but I don't know how to get near him. Even Bai Gu San was afraid of the aura the war devil and the ghost hunter exuded. Under their wary eyes, he didn't dare to move rashly. By the time people were still struggling to find a way, Shi Yan's red eyes suddenly restored. He said, Please give the immaculate panacea to Ba Fei. I'm not poisoned. You guys don't need to worry about me. No need to interfere, either. I'll need to deal with my strange status myself. Chapter 526, Powerful Purification. Chapter 526, Powerful Purification. Solve it yourself? Bing Ching Tong looked worried. Would any problems arise? No problem. Shi Yin gritted his teeth, shifting his look to Bai Gu Sr. Please give the immaculate panacea to Ba Fei, please. Bai Gu San was surprised, turning around. Who's Ba Fei? She's my younger sister. Ba Si Tung was happy, hurriedly answered him. Bai Gu San nodded and took out the immaculate panacea pellet, giving it to Ba Si Tung. Use it with cold water. Thank you. Ba Si Tung was anxious about his sister. After he received the immaculate panacea pellet, he didn't hesitate and started to help her treat her poison. Ching Tong, I can't move now. Please bring me to the wing room where I stayed last night, said Shi Yin. Bing Ching Tong's face reddened. She responded to him with the voice like a mosquito, then hurriedly walked to him. Lung Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu were bewildered, but soon gathered themselves and walked to him. As they had received his order, the war devil, the ghost hunter, and the king of demonic insects didn't stop the women. The three of them approached him, using their small hands to support his shoulder and waist, then led him to the absurd room he'd stayed in last night. The war devil, ghost hunter, and the king of demonic insects followed them. Strange light moved in Han Shui's eyes. She hesitated a little bit, and then walked into that room with a blushed face. Bai Gu San, Bai Di, Bai Si, and the others were stunned, their eyes gradually strange. They all heard what Shi Yin used to address the woman. Ching Tong. This close call came out from his mouth with a little bit intimacy. If he weren't close to her, he wouldn't use it. However, the city master of the Ice Emperor City didn't snap back but blushed and accepted it. What kind of situation was this? Up till now, Bing Ching Tong always kept herself pure. Her manners were always icy cold to others. She seemed to have no interest in men. It had been years, and they had never heard any rumors about her. This showed that Bing Ching Tong was very self-respecting. Shi Yin had addressed her in much close manner, and she didn't thunder at him. Quite the contrary, she seemed to be happy with it. Well, everybody could guess their relationship for now. Soon, Bing Ching Tong, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Danqing supported Shi Yin to get out of the scene. Bai Gu San, Bai Di, and Bai Si exchanged their confusing looks. They were bewildered for a long time, their minds filled with thoughts. Shi Yin bro's really dangerous. I bow to show my admiration for him. Lao Li suddenly gave a compliment, his face showing his commendation. He arrived at the Ice Emperor City not long ago, but he's already subdued the city master. Such deed indeed surprises people a lot. I really admire Shi Yin bro. It's much deeper than his real competence. Lao Luan nodded continually as if the words touched his heart. Kai snorted then said coldly, Men simple are no good. Little brother, well, Shi Yin and the city master. What's their relationship? Bai Gu San was hesitant, but still, he asked Ba Si Tung for information. Ba Si Tung held his immaculate panacea pellet while grinning. Haha, it's what you were thinking. Elder Shuang and Elder Long are very close to Shi Yin. Get it? Bai Gu Sun, Bai Di, and Bei Si were completely stunned. They couldn't help but ask, even Elder Shuang and Elder Long, too? Yeah, nodded Ba Si Tung. This man is dangerous. Bai Gu San sighed, shook his head and gave a compliment. This be asterisk starred. Kai clenched her jaw as she couldn't press down her anger. Rage rose in her pretty eyes. In the room, Shi Yin sat cross-legged, not moving a bit. He said through his gritted teeth, "You guys stay away from me. Don't come close, and don't let anyone come in this room. In the next minutes, perhaps I won't be able to control myself. So, you guys should be prepared." Can't control yourself? What does that mean? Bing Ching Tong inquired. Like last night. Oh, the four women blushed. They inaudibly moved their soft bodies away from him. They were both fearful and yearning. Their beautiful eyes shone, gazing at him without blinking. Under their scrutinizing looks, Shi Yin closed his eyes while his muscular body shook violently. The 720 acupuncture points in his whole body seemed to become a vast space. Using the soul consciousness to sense, he could see a big vortex in each acupuncture point. They were moving furiously, gradually condensing the negative energy. Layers piled up, while the vortices spun faster. While they were spinning, strands of negative feelings struck out, overflowing from each acupuncture and moving towards his heart. Yuli Ming's essence qi filled the vortices abundantly. During their rotation, 3 different flows were detached separately. One of them was the negative energy that expanded the vortices in his acupuncture points. Another flow comprised of the negative feelings. It was the mood fluctuations of human life with 7 feelings and 6 desires, which was amplified before his death, added to his essence qi and dragged to Shi Yan's acupuncture points. It was separated from the essence qi now. The last one was the best thing to him. It was the mysterious energy, the result of the high-speed spinning vortex filters. Strands of mysterious energy gathered at the center like beams of pure lightning. The vortices drew them to the center and refined them. The mysterious energy increased, but then sank into the center. The essence qi was divided into 3 parts, of which the negative feelings couldn't turn into energy as they were just the negative parts of the consciousness about to be wasted. Meanwhile, the negative energy could speed up the vortices to enhance the filtering speed of the mysterious power. Each of the 720 acupuncture points in his body had the same filtering activity. During this process, the negative energy increasing unceasingly was expanding in the vortices just like a wild tornado. Soon, it exceeded the endurance of the acupuncture point. The vortices enlarged in each of his acupuncture points. Countless light dots exploded. At the moment they exploded, Shi Yan's acupuncture points were hurt badly, just like someone had stabbed him with needles. This kind of pain ran through his nerves to his entire body. It was hard to restrain. His acupuncture points were like a big space of chaos without the sun, with only a white mist covering everywhere. In the enlarging vortex, space was filled up, and then the vortex expanded more. This made the acupuncture point swollen, causing a pain that couldn't be described with words. The acupuncture point was stretched to its limit, but still forced to enlarge. It was swollen in just a blink, and would probably explode at any minute. This energy and the profound qi of the warriors were different, but the results were magically similar. Both of them needed to be cultivated and increased bit by bit. They couldn't be rushed. Otherwise, the profound qi would explode, and the warrior's cultivation base would be erased. What he could do now was just to control the enlargement of the vortices. He clenched his jaws and endured reluctantly to prevent the negative energy from overflowing that could burst his acupuncture points. His soul consciousness transformed, flying out from the sea of consciousness and entering each of his acupuncture points. His spirit, will, and thought had been concentrating like never before to oppress the negative feelings. He didn't care about the pain in his entire body, as his strands of soul consciousness divided into 720 strands, trying to control the situation in each acupuncture point. Under his efforts, the expansion speed of the vortices slowed down a little bit. The speed of mysterious power being refined was also controlled and became slower. As the soul consciousness sank into his acupuncture points, He felt like he had entered so many tiny worlds. In these worlds, there were no stars, sun, or moon, no creatures or flora. The whole world was just a desolate, white area, giving people no fluctuations of living things. Even the soul consciousness would be affected by the negative feelings. His 720 acupuncture points were like 720 strange spaces. Each space had strange but magnificent changes with exploding light dots, the negative feelings, and the refined mysterious power. This was a large-scale construction that he had never noticed before. As he sent his soul consciousness massively into the acupuncture points, he got to know how mysterious his mysterious martial spirit was. The acupuncture points of his entire body opened and enlarged to a new sky and earth, refining the negative power, absorbing the essence chi, the mysterious power, and the negative energy separately. Such heaven and earth creation had never been heard by him from any warriors mentioned before. In his memories, he knew that the martial spirits could never reach this level. This was simply a miracle. What was that blood pond after all? How magical was the power in the blood pond to transform people's bodies that way? He suddenly recalled the cave he appeared in when he had arrived in this world. Vaguely, he remembered the wonderful feeling when he had come to this world. He thought that everything was related to that blood pond. Would that blood pond and the blood vein ring have some special powers that they could connect worlds and bring him into this world? Thoughts crossed his mind constantly. All of a sudden, he recognized that the vortices were expanding faster once again. He was scared. He then focused again, continuing his incomplete construction. Time flied by. He didn't know how long he had spent there, as he suddenly found the speed of the vortices in his 720 acupuncture points slowed down. Half of the essence chi of Yu Li Ming had been refined over the period of time. He relaxed his nerves. However, as he had just relaxed, the negative desires at the bottom of his heart burned again. The blazing flame was like a sea of fire swarming over, covering him entirely in just a blink. His closed eyes opened, hot and full of naked desire. Bing Ching Tong's soft body shivered, glowing under the fabric of her clothes. She was shy, letting out a low scream. He's about to burst out. Second sister, why are you here? Long Dan Qing blushed, but she frowned at Han Shui. I'm afraid that you guys can't withstand. Being your sister, I'm willing to help. Han Shui's beautiful eyes sparkled. She bit her lower lip, talking with great shyness. No need, Long Dan Qing snorted. Han Shui rolled her eyes, but she didn't leave, speaking up with her red face. You have to share the good things together. My ice jade technique just needs a bit more to break through. Chapter 527. Bathe in the Brilliant Sunlight. Chapter 527. Bathe in the Brilliant Sunlight. Shi Yin sat neatly with a solemn countenance in the room. His breathing was steady, but he was naked. Their 4 snow-white naked bodies scattered around him. They also sat down cross-legged to adjust their breathing, quietly condensing the mysterious power they got from the man. A brilliant light was moving inside the 5 bodies. Lightning meandered around them like electric snakes as they were circulating their powers and gathering it. At Shi Yan's chest, dots of starlight radiated gloriously like precious gems, much brighter than the lighting gems in the room. Starlight shone dazzlingly in his star martial spirit, while the mysterious power gathered in a small star unceasingly. After it had absorbed enough the mysterious energy, it started to gather and hide the heat of the sun inside, making the heat affect the other stars, burning more fiercely. He didn't know how much time had passed. Some small stars had already become a bunch of fiery flames and started to explode. After each explosion, the small star seemed to have some great, magical changes. The earth flame hiding in the blood vein ring also recognized the strange status. It then released the essence solar energy it had absorbed. This solar energy then overflowed torrentially into the star martial spirit. Time flew inaudibly. Night drew away, and sunrise arrived. When the first sunbeam shone on the Ice Emperor city, the sunlight suddenly shot out from Shi Yan's chest, who had been idle for a long time. The sunlight from him generated a furious suction force. With Yin as the center, the sunbeams were drawn through the ice walls, shining beautifully in the room. Beams of sunlight shot directly to his body, disappearing. The scattering sunlight was like it was turned into a funnel, pouring beam after beam into his body. His chest became as scorching as fire. The small star was now a little sun, continuing to take in the sunlight from above like a hungry baby feeding on his mother's milk. His star martial spirit had a mutation as it was burning and enlarging. As soon as the sunlight was sucked in, this star got bigger, and the energy staying there became purer. Gradually, a wonder appeared above the Ice Emperor city. The new sunrise seemed to shine only on the city master palace, and its sunbeams gathered only in that place. In fact, the sunlight fell only on a wing room of the palace. Above the city master palace, the sunlight glistened beautifully, and the heat was increasing. It was so dazzling that people couldn't even open their eyes. The pure sunbeams pierced through the ice walls, refracting in countless beams like a halo behind a god. These beams seemed to be affected by some invisible force, gathering and directing to only one person. Many warriors of the Ice Emperor city were looking at the sky, watching that giant heating sun with stunned faces. Staying in the City Master Palace, Bai San, Bathe, and Bathe were three experienced warriors, but they still had to drop their jaws in awe, watching the ever-blazing sun above the palace. While they were observing the sunlight that was much fiercer than normal, they didn't know what to do, although thoughts flickered fast in their heads. What is it? Bathe was bewildered for a while. All of a sudden, he shivered and said uncertainly, "Don't tell me that it's the brilliant sunlight bathing of the Radiant God Cult?" Brilliant sunlight bathing? The Radiant God Cult was known for their flaming sun execution. When their warriors could break through the new level of the flaming sun execution, the sunlight from the nine skies would precisely shine on their entire bodies, just like they were bathing miraculously in the sunlight. The higher level the flaming sun execution was, the larger insolation the warriors could have. Brilliant sunlight bathing? Bai San's eyes lit up as he was scrutinizing the marvel in the sky. Then, he nodded affirmatively. True. It's indeed the flaming sun execution of the Radiant God Cult, that too at a really high level. It can draw the power of the sun and naturally form the brilliant sunlight bathing. I get it. Laoli patted his head and shouted. When we were in the dark magnetic noxious mist, people from the Radiant God Cult said that Yin was one of them. Seems that Zhaofeng didn't lie. However, I only saw him perform the star execution. He had never revealed any sign of the flaming sun execution. You've seen him using the star execution? Bathe seemed to recall something, his face more solemn. Laoli and Laoluan nodded, then Laoli said, he also used the Northern Dipper arrow. Northern Dipper arrow? Bathe was astounded, muttering, only the star execution at a certain level can perform the Northern Dipper arrow. He can use the Northern Dipper arrow? Then how can he draw the brilliant sunlight bathing? It seems not suiting the common sense, right? Why doesn't it suit common sense? Laoli didn't understand. Disciples of the Radiant God Cult cultivate the flaming sun execution, the silver moon execution, and the star execution. These are the root of the cultivating techniques in the Radiant God Cult. Each type of techniques has many realms. In Radiant God Cult, no matter it's the disciple or the elder, they have to choose one of these techniques to cultivate, and they can only cultivate one of them. Bathe frowned as he was a little bit confused, too. They can't cultivate two techniques at the same time? Laoli was surprised. The flaming sun execution, the silver moon execution, and the star execution take in the energy from sun, moon, and the stars respectively. If a warrior cultivates two techniques at the same time, not only can't he grow his technique to the higher realms, but he may also meet the conflicts between the energies. If it's serious, he might even die. So, although the Radiant God Cult has so many hotshots, each of them has been cultivating only one technique. They don't dare to take risks, nodded Bathe. Is it an exception? Bathe's face was odd. Bathe was astounded. He suddenly shivered, speaking in fear. Deji, are you saying that? Bathe nodded, hesitated for a while before talking again. The cult master of the Radiant God Cult confused the flaming sun execution, the silver moon execution, and the star execution together in his body, so he can absorb the energies from the sun, moon, and the stars at the same time. The method to fuse these three techniques, only the cult master of the Radiant God cult knows. Is he the line disciple of the Radiant God cult's cult master? Is he his successor? Lao Li almost jumped up, shaking his head as if he couldn't believe it. Kai was quiet the whole time. Suddenly, she smiled tenderly. Impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Shi Yin had never been to the divine Great Land before. When we were in the dark magnetic noxious mist, he didn't know about the Radiant God cult either. At that moment, Zhao Feng had taught him the Northern Dipper Arrow and the Secret Star Execution. If he were the line disciple of the cult master, he would have known the secret technique of the Radiant God cult. Having heard the girl say so, Bathe and Bathe became more suspicious. If it's true, there's only one possibility. Bai Gusin's look changed. He has found the secret to fuse the flaming sun execution and the star execution accidentally. The cult master didn't teach him. He learned it himself. Bathe, and the other gawked. It is impossible. The method to fuse the three techniques is the most mysterious Upanishad of the Radiant God cult. Except for the cult master, no one can know it. If it were easy to learn like that, the Radiant God cult wouldn't make it their most precious technique. Bathe shook his head, not buying what Bai Gusan said. Besides that possibility, I don't know what else it can be. Bai Gusin's eyes were complicated. He mused, then sighed. Wait for him. Let's see what he will tell us. All of them wore a strange face, waiting in silence in the city master palace, while looking in the particular direction of the palace. In the wing room, the burning sunlight faded eventually into Shi Yan's body. In the end, he took a deep breath while awakening. He sensed a little bit and immediately found a small sun inside his star martial spirit. Compared to the other stars, it was much bigger. That little sun was radiating heat and absorbing the solar energy at the same time. Previously, he sometimes vaguely felt that the star martial spirit could absorb a little of the energy from the sun. But this feeling was so hazy that he thought it was just his hallucination. But it was different now. It wasn't just a feeling anymore. He could see it, that the scorching star was taking in the solar energy unceasingly. He could feel each beam of warm sunlight energy entering his heart at any moment. Are you awake? Bing Qing Tong had put on her clothes. She was wearing an elegant white royal robe. Her jade-like face glowed while she was eyeing Shi Yin with interest. After a while, she talked. Are you a member of the Radiant God cult? No. Shi Yin shook his head. So, how do you get the flaming sun execution and you even drew the brilliant sunlight bathing? Bing Qing Tong was dumbstruck. Han Shui, Shuang Yuzhu, and Long Dan Qing had dressed up decently. They all looked bright and glowing as they were looking at him attentively. How are you? Shi Yin didn't answer her question, but from their countenances, he found something. I think I just need half a month to reach the third sky of spirit realm. Bing Qing Tong smiled naturally as she didn't feel shame. A flow of energy from your body has boosted our ice jade technique to another level. This time, we've all broken through to another realm. Shi Yin was surprised. Why is Han Shui here? You rascal! Han Shui blushed, her eyes indignant as she said shyly. Last night, you did bad things with me. Why you don't ask about that? You have taken advantage of me, and now you pretend you don't know it. Such a B***starred you are. No, I didn't count you in. You've done things with me. My sisters saw it all. Don't deny. Black lines filled Shi Yan's face. Chapter 528, Hidden Danger. Chapter 528, Hidden Danger. The Ice Jade technique had 7 levels, and each of them was tough to break through. Sometimes, a warrior could break through her realm, but not the level of the Ice Jade technique. Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui were at the level 4 of the Ice Jade technique. They had stayed at this level for almost 10 years. When they stepped into the second sky of Spirit Realm, their Ice Jade technique didn't advance together. However, after they had been with Shi Yin, they had a breakthrough. At the moment, their Ice Jade technique had reached level 5. The Ice Jade technique had a special feature, due to which it did not always improve whenever the warrior had a breakthrough in her realm. However, once the Ice Jade technique advanced one step further, the warrior's realm would have a small development. In other words, after their Ice Jade technique had been upgraded, not long afterward, Han Shui and Bing Qing Tong could enter the profound third sky of Spirit Realm from their current second sky of Spirit Realm. Lung Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu also had the same benefits. These two women had stayed at the level 3 of the Ice Jade technique, and now were both at level 4. Just like Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui, they had entered a new small realm of the second sky of Spirit Realm. After Yu Li Ming died, his essence chi of the third sky of Spirit Realm warrior was divided into 5 parts after being refined. A part of that had helped Shi Yin draw the brilliant sunlight bathing, while the other 4 parts had boosted the Ice Jade technique of the 4 women. No pain, no gain. The challenge Shi Yin had met this time almost put him to death. After he had converted the adversity to fortune, it benefited 5 people at the same time. Bing Qing Tong, Han Shui, Shuang Yuzhu, and Lung Danqing were glowing, their eyes sparkling enough to charm anyone. Inside the wing room, Shi Yin was frightened by this change, so he didn't know what to say. Outside the room, as Bai Gu San, Bai Si, and Bai Di saw the brilliant sunlight bathing fade away, they knew the situation was steadied. They hurried to the place. Lao Li pitched his voice. Shi Yin, old bro, are you all right? I'm okay. Can we get in there? Arg, your guards, can you tell them to retreat? Outside the room, the ghost hunter, the war devil, and the king of demonic insects were still guarding the place, not allowing anyone to come close. Bai Gu San and the others froze on looking at the beasts. Since they didn't dare to act rashly, they let Lao Li ask for the situation first. Okay, I got it. Shi Yin smiled, then called back the ghost hunter and the war devil, letting them get back inside the blood vein ring. Then, he let them enter the room. After Bai Gu San, Bai Di, Bai Si, and Kai Yi got in the room, they all wore a strange face, eyeing the 4 women of Bing Qing Tong's group. The 4 women felt awkward as if they had been busted. Their faces were ruddy, with a moistened appearance. At first glance, people knew what good things they had done. Little brother, you are a fortunate man, Bai Si complimented, his face filled with admiration. The 4 women of Bing Qing Tong's group were famous in the fighting union not only because of their cultivation bases, but also their beautiful appearance and elegant manners. Each warrior of the fighting union, more or less, had thought about these 4 women. Unfortunately, no one could conquer them. Shi Yin had come to the Ice Emperor city not long ago, but he had already subdued the 4 women at once. Even Bai Si had to admire his deeds. Little brother, that brilliant sunlight bathing had come for you, right? Bai Gu San wore a serious face, talking about the main business directly. Shi Yin was stunned. After he knew what so-called the brilliant sunlight bathing was, he nodded. I heard that you know how to use the Northern Dipper arrow, and you also know how to use the star power, asked Bai Gu Sr. Shi Yin nodded, his face suspicious. Why do you care about this? Bing Qing Tong and the other women had their eyes sparkled. Their bodies shivered when they heard him admit it. As they were all the warriors of the divine great land, the 4 women knew the secrets of the radiant god cult regarding the magical fusion of the 3 mysterious techniques. Do you know that only the cult master of the radiant god cult knows the method to combine the flaming sun execution, the silver moon execution, and the star execution? Bai Gu San took a deep breath, then explained, in each generation, the radiant god cult has only one cult master, and only he knows how to fuse the 3 techniques. Only when the elders of the cult declare that the cult master died will they select the new master. At that time, they will come to the Radiant Summit. At that peak, they will join forces to open the secret chamber there. The newly elected master will learn the secrets of fusing the 3 techniques in that chamber. Shi Yin shook his head. Each generation has only one radiant cult master, and only he knows that secret. Only he can know the ultimate Upanishad. Bai Gu Sen's face turned more solemn. In the legends, the one who knew how to combine the powers of the sun, the moon, and the stars, even if his realm wasn't enough, he still could subdue the elders of the cult. This is also why the position of the cult master of the Radiant God cult is unbreakable. What did you say? Shi Yin was stunned. Bai Gu San affirmed while nodding, even if the newly elected cult master has only the sky realm cultivation base. Once he can fuse the powers of the sun, the moon, and the stars together, he can oppress any elders who cultivate the flaming sun execution, the silver moon execution, and the star execution in the cult. No matter that elder has the first sky, or even the third sky of spirit realm cultivation base, he would still be subdued. Shi Yin discolored as he suddenly recognized the seriousness of the issue. One sect could have only one master, one paragon. He had accidentally bumped into this mess, and he had both the sun martial spirit and the star martial spirit. Did it mean he was a master without a real status in the Radiant God cult? How serious this problem was, he understood pretty well. If he were the current master of the Radiant God cult and knew that there was someone like him who could fuse the three secret techniques together, and that person could use this method to oppress all the elders in his sect, what should he do? I think you realize the seriousness of this issue. Bai Gu San took a deep breath, mused for a while, then continued, luckily, only we know about it now. As long as we keep it in the down low, people of the Radiant God cult can't know about it. Bai Gu San paused for a while, then shifted his look to Bathe, Bathe, Lao Li, and Lao Luan. I think Bathe brother won't want to see anything bad happen to our little brother here. I guarantee that I will forget everything here once I get out of the place. I will not disclose anything to anyone. For City Master Bing and the three elders, I think you guys won't spread out the story here. So? Shi Yin frowned. Of course, if you, little brother, don't feel secure, you have the powers to kill all of us. This is the most secure way. Bai Gu San suddenly lifted his head, looking at Shi Yin deep in the eyes. Shi Yin was astounded. He then burst out laughing, shaking his head. First, let alone I have this ability or not, even if I have it, I won't do that. Bai Gu San, Bathe, and Bathe were all strong warriors with profound realms. Even if he could utilize all of his powers, he couldn't do that. Thus, he didn't think about that intent. I know you aren't that type of person. Bai Gu San smiled as he relaxed his stiff face. So, what you should do now is to hide it. Never let anyone you don't trust get the information that you can fuse the powers of the sun and the stars. Otherwise, I think you will encounter great dangers. Which realm does the Radiant God cult's cult master have? His heart fell as he asked. The second sky of True God realm, Bai Gu San said with an admiring face. Shi Yan's visage changed as he nodded quietly. I got it. He understood that when an expert at the second sky of True God realm wanted to kill him at any cost, even if he had the War Devil, the Ghost Hunter, the King of Demonic Insects, and the Heaven Flames, he couldn't escape death. At this moment, he had made up his mind that he had to secure this secret. Unless he had the strength to parry the master of the Radiant God cult, he should never disclose that he had the Sun Martial Spirit and the Star Martial Spirit to any living men. Perhaps we are overthinking. Bai Gu San saw Shi Yin tense and couldn't hide his laughter. The master of the Radiant God cult has always covered his men's shortcomings. He has a good reputation. Also, he's a generous man. Perhaps, even if he knows this, he won't eradicate you. But you should always be alert. Little brother, you should understand that point. Bing Qing Tong and the other three women also realized the seriousness of the matter. They kept silent, but they were all worried about him. The Radiant God cult's master was the most dangerous warrior of the divine Great Land. Hundreds of years had passed by, and he could still threaten many warriors and receive admiration from them at the same time. Such a character could kill all creatures in this Ice Emperor city. If he took action, even Bai Gu San, Bathe, and Bathe couldn't escape. Thanks for letting me know this. I know what to do. Shi Yan's brows slammed together, then answered in a serious tone. All right, we should go now. With you staying in the Ice Emperor city, I think the Nings won't dare to come back. As he had tasted the bitter fruit this time, I think he will ask his friends to come with him here again. I will probe this a bit. City Master Bing, you'd better report the General Union what had happened here. If the Ice Emperor city has to fight the second time, it can be the war between the Fighting Union and the Heaven Temple. At that time, we won't just stand and stare. Bai Guxian hesitated for a while and then continued. Shi Yin and Bing Qing Tong nodded. We'll set off now. Little brother, if you visit the White Emperor City, you should be our guest at the Aok family. Bai Gusan smiled, not caring if Kai agreed or not. He took her hands and left, soaring through the clouds, disappearing shortly. Hey Shi Yin bro, remember to visit us at the Banner family? Brothers Laoli also invited him. Shi Yin smiled, regarding them. You should be watchful about every move of yours. Remember, don't let anyone not close to you know that you confuse the sun and the stars' powers. Baisi patted his shoulder. One day, when you have the confidence to resist the radiant god cult's cult master, you won't need to worry about this anymore. Yeah, I can see that you have an endless potential. Then, Bai Di and Bai Si took the Lao brothers and left the palace. Chapter 529, Dead Soul Mountain. Chapter 529, Dead Soul Mountain. Half a month later, the Ice Emperor City was still quiet and peaceful. 10 days ago, Bing Qing Tong, Han Shui, Shuang Yuzhu, and Lung Danqing had broken through their realm in the ice chamber. Shi Yin had asked the ice-cold flame to build for them. Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui had entered the third sky of Spirit Realm, and Shuang Yuzhu and Lung Danqing had reached the second sky of Spirit Realm. After their breakthrough, Bing Qing Tong immediately sent the message to the General Union. The person in charge in the General Union felt excited for them when he knew they all had entered the next realm. The Heaven Temple and their fighting union had been prepared for a fight, which was now delayed because of their new realm breakthrough. The fighting union utilized all effort to protect the Ice Emperor City. They didn't regret sending the most elite force of the fighting union to battle with the Heaven Temple. As the responsible person of the Heaven Temple saw their determination and guts, he had to weigh pros and cons. Eventually, he notified the Ning family to not act rashly. The fight that was about to take place had ended quietly like that. No one knew what the leaders of the Heaven Temple and the fighting union had negotiated, but both sides stopped their actions altogether. When they knew that the Ice Emperor City wasn't in danger anymore, Ba Situng and Ba Fei bid their farewell to Shi Yin and went to their family's territory to find the Ba family's treasures, which might be hidden somewhere there. Shi Yin stayed in the Ice Emperor City to help them build an ice chamber. With 2 drops of the cold chalcedony, the ice-cold flame and the Holy Spirit God had upgraded their intelligence to another level. These 2 strange living beings became more humane. After the Holy Spirit God had taken in 1 drop of the cold chalcedony, the white skeleton clone became translucent, as beautiful as gems, and with a dense cold air meandering, tangling with the dazzling divine light. The ice-cold flame made a trip around the bitter cold land to supplement a large amount of freezing qi. Its power was restored fast. The day when the 4 women had completed their cultivation in the ice chamber, Shi Yin told them he had to leave for a while. He was going to visit the Dead Soul Mountain. Bing Qing Tong knew what he was worried about. She tried to insist him to stay, but since he was persistent, she had to let him leave. The time they had spent together was short, but the feelings they had for Shi Yin weren't shallow. These women wanted to keep him in the Ice Emperor City and enjoy the rest of their lives together. However, Shi Yin didn't appreciate that thought. He told them clearly that he didn't want to stay there and retire. As the 4 women had no way to persuade him otherwise, they could only accept it. Bing Qing Tong and the other women were cultivating the Ice Jade technique, so the Ice Emperor City and the Bitter Cold Land were the best places for them to practice and thrive. To reach the higher realm, they couldn't leave the Ice Emperor City and go with him to the Dead Soul Mountain. Thus, they could only see him leave. At the moment, their realms had been improved a lot, which made the fighting union highly value them. Even if Ningdu Quan came here again, with their cultivation bases, the women weren't afraid of the Ning family's threat. The fighting union had put forth everything to protect them, so the Heaven Palace didn't dare to act rashly. Shi Yin could put aside the concern for them. After he'd done comforting the 4 women, Shi Yin left the Ice Emperor City alone, continuing his journey. On the way to the Dead Soul Mountain, he endured the hardship of training, ascetically cultivating the Upanishads of the powers he had learned. The negative energy, the immortal rebirth secret, the star martial spirit, the life and death seal, and the other Upanishads he had known were studied deeply in an attempt to have a flash of recognition to increase his realm again, entering the gateway of the spirit realm. The three god realms were the most desired threshold any warrior wanted to reach. Entering the three god realms meant that one was walking on the path leading to the peak as a warrior. To reach the three god realms, countless warriors trained strenuously, secluding themselves deep in the mountains or the forests to perceive the hidden powers and comprehend the truth of their realms. Since he had many martial spirits, if he wanted to comprehend them thoroughly, it would take a lot of time. However, even if one knew it was hard and didn't want to put more effort, one would never cross this threshold until he or she died. Thus, along the way, whenever he had free time, he made himself quiet down to comprehend the true meanings of the powers, with his whole body involved. Through his efforts this time, he had reached a new realm in understanding the Upanishads of the powers he had. Although he couldn't break through with only understanding the truth, it helped him strengthen his powers whenever he performed his attacks, in which he had a deep-carved understanding of the death and life seal. Once he released the death and life intent domain, he could even affect all living creatures and flora in the whole area. As his star martial spirit had had some changes, during his trip, it had continually absorbed the power of the sunlight. Even if it were midnight, he still could feel the existence of the dazzling sun in the vast sea of stars, feeling the feeble solar energy flowing into his body. The sun, the moon, and the stars were everlasting. They would not disappear as day and night took their shifts. They were just covered temporarily. If the martial spirit were strong enough, the warrior could still feel the energy of the sun, moon, and stars no matter it was day or night. They could always absorb the energy, but the speed would be different. The divine Great Land was immensely vast, and the Ice Emperor City was just a city in the far west. After he had left the Ice Emperor City, he passed by many big countries along the way. All of them were dependent on big forces like the Heaven Palace or the Fighting Union. The emperors of these mortal kingdoms had to pay a visit to their guarding forces or some strong families on holidays or occasions. These dependent kingdoms had to offer a large amount of cultivating materials for those warriors to use. Perhaps they would refine some pellets or treasures in return. Some strong empires with the large territory and population of millions still had to bend their heads in front of those experts who could move the mountains or fill the river. They had to be as humble as possible. On his way, he crossed many strong empires, whose strength was much formidable than the raging fire empire of the Quiet Cloud, equal to the God-blessed empire. However, no matter how strong they were, they couldn't be compared to the old factions that had a history of tens of thousands of years in the divine Great Land. Each ancient faction had their own true God Realm warriors to guard over. The true God Realm experts in the divine Great Land were like gods. If they wanted, one true God Realm warrior could destroy any country, which didn't have the same level warrior to protect them. Under such intimidating threats, those big countries didn't dare to rebel and offered them as many cultivating materials as they could find in their countries. So many high summits and rivers existed on his way, and many lone warriors were cultivating in seclusion. Along his trip, he had seen a lot of things that he had never known in the endless sea. Crossing many empires and famous mountains, he could sense some invincible dormant experts. His understanding of the divine Great Land had been deepened. On his way, he didn't intend to provoke any enemy or use his power to slaughter. Quite the contrary, he had been like a homespun, ascetic monk, always lonely in hempen garments, passing through the high peaks and the deep swamps. He befriended beasts and fed on earth and firmament. He became quiet and didn't talk to humans, just wanting to understand more about the path he had chosen. At the peak state of the martial path, an expert could move the mountains. His soul could penetrate the highest heaven, and his body could fly in the sky. Along his lonely journey, he had been wholeheartedly training in hardship to comprehend the highest level of the martial path. He had a clear direction. He just needed to take each step towards the acme of the martial path. He had concentrated his spirit, souls, and body into the training, leaving his mind empty to soon reach the spirit realm. There was no calendar in these mountainous areas. Time flew by quietly. He didn't know how long it had passed or how many big countries and massive mountains he had crossed. After crossing a swamp area that he couldn't see the shore of, he finally saw a majestic mountain range whose summits were penetrating the sky. Each peak looked like a sharp sword stabbed directly to the highest sky. Clouds bobbed around, and beasts could be seen scattered here and there. The mountain ranges continued one after another without an end. Hundreds of mountains stood in front of his eyes. Each of them was grand and majestic, where dense heaven and earth chi gathered. Beasts were running here and there. Sometimes, he could see some warriors gliding back and forth, seeming to be secluding in these mountains to cultivate. Green, boundless clouds and mist drifted, just like cotton scattered here and there around the mountains. Inside the green clouds and mist, there was a strange cold and evil aura. Sometimes, some malicious dead souls appeared inside the green clouds, who didn't have real bodies, and gave people a terrifying feeling. The Dead Soul Mountain was the most mysterious and dangerous place in the divine Great Land. In this mountain range, there were almost 1,000 mountains with different sizes. Each of these mountains was the house of both warriors and beasts. In some mountains, some intimidating beasts could transform into human form. They looked exactly the same as other normal warriors. When they didn't urge their powers, ordinary warriors couldn't point out the differences. Also, there were dead souls living in the Dead Soul Mountain. Those dead souls used to be the souls of strong expert or beasts, which had gathered the Yin Chi to form. Some said that those dead souls were pagans who came here from the alien area, through the vast bobbing clouds, and landed on the Grace mainland by chance. The clusters of green clouds hovering above the Dead Soul Mountain became the evil lairs of the dead souls, and it seemed only the dead souls could use these evil lairs. Once warriors and beasts came near, they would be attacked to death. Gradually, they would turn into dead souls too. In the legends, the dead soul's devil lair was some sort of gateway to heaven, leading to the mysterious outer space. Unfortunately, ordinary warriors and beasts didn't dare to approach them. As long as they were the creatures that had souls, once they got near to the evil lairs of the dead souls, they would be eroded and turned into dead souls. Even spirit realm warriors couldn't escape this tragic consequence. The dead souls' evil lairs were the special features of the Dead Soul Mountain. They existed in the green cotton clouds that they could only be observed and never intruded. From time to time, after one or several years, an anomalous situation would happen there. Sometimes, there would be the tremendous dead souls, and sometimes, it would be the invincible, mysterious energy which could shake the whole Dead Soul Mountain. Some strong experts of the divine Great Land shared that they had gone near the dead soul's evil lairs, and from a close distance, they saw some people walking in there. The legend of the dead soul's evil lairs had been spreading through tens of thousands of years in the divine Great Land. However, until now, no one could tell clearly what the dead soul's evil lairs actually were, or what stayed in there. Perhaps someone did know the secrets of the dead soul's evil lairs, but they didn't want to share with others. Looking at the grand mountains from afar, divine light radiated from Shi Yan's eyes. He stood quietly for a while and then muttered, "Finally arrived." Then, he strode towards the place. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.